Hey man, I got that new TMX Thrustmaster wheel. It's going down.
Xbox One?
I can't wait to play when I get home.
You'll let me play?
Yeah, after I play first. Yeah.
You know, I'll race it for it.
Well, I have to hand you.
Hello everybody and welcome to Formula Sim Racing for the Formula Sim Racing World Championship, sponsored by Thrustmaster. We're live from Sepang in Malaysia this afternoon, where we've got plenty of drivers ready to show what they can do. I'm Dave Paling, and joining me in the commentary box today is David O'Reilly, and I'll come to you in a moment, Dave. I just want to have a quick look at some of the circuit information regarding Sepang, and a little bit of information for the viewers. It was due to be Austria we're racing at today, but unfortunately a few problems with that track means we are at Sepang, where we have a track length of 5.5 kilometers, a race distance of 56 laps, with past winners of the likes of Jeroen Kwekel from 2016, Jim Parisis in 2015, Morgan Morand in 2014, and for today the weather could play a major part, with a 90% chance of rain, and when it rains here it tends to rain quite hard. On to my co-commentator, David O'Reilly, sitting there quite patiently. Dave, what are we expecting from today's event?
Well, really looking forward to it. I mean, it's a fantastic track. Both yourself and myself got to do the pro race just a little bit earlier, so certainly it's a great familiarization. Ace yesterday was a great race. Of course, Sander Callis had a little bit to himself. It was a bit of a majestic charge from the front to the flag. But it was interesting watching the warm-up just now. In Ace, we had one driver get into the 132s in a quali format. In World Championship just now, we had 6 guys in the 132s. Simichich, Gosby, Kiss, Patel, Hoyer and D'Alessandro. And 5 of those 6 were within 1500ths of a second of each other. So 1.5 tenths covered 5 drivers. So it's going to be a very close fought contest on a track that I think is very technical, easy to get it wrong, and it's a track that provides us a fair bit of separation between the good and the fabulous. So it should be a really exciting race, and we've got the wild card. There's a high chance of rain, I believe a 90% chance of rain. So we, of course, running real life weather based on a weather station in nearby Sepang. So yeah, it should be mega, Dave, and I can't wait.
Definitely, me too. Now, I believe Reilly posted the fastest lap time in practice just before we came to qualifying, and he is out on track at the moment. However, his teammate James Sadler's actually done a purple sector 1, but there's barely anything between them. So hopefully we were able to ride on board with Reilly to see if he can carry over the speed that he kind of showed in practice into qualifying here. Qualifying session, each driver gets 12 laps. That basically works out at 4 flying laps they've got an attempt at. Doubtful that anyone's going to try back-to-back flying laps, because it just means you carry an extra fuel with a higher rate of tyre wear. So Reilly has been through sector 2, and laps been looking a little bit aggressive. And Dave, I mean, is this a circuit that you think is rewards you for being aggressive at, or actually rewards you for being a little bit cooler?
Well, this is where I take my hat off to the World Championship guys, because in qualifying, it's really interesting. You know, you can absolutely stomp on the options through sector 2. You know, after turn 4, you've got that very turny 5, 6, 7, 8, the double right-hander. Then when you come out of the hairpin turn 9, if you've really pushed hard to that point, your option tyres are starting to go away from you. So I think the very top guys are probably measuring it out a bit so that they've got tyre performance for the third sector.
Quite possibly.
Because if you really punch it hard the whole way through sector 2, in my opinion, the options are starting to go away from you a bit.
Yeah, quite possibly. Mohammed Patel's done a purple sector 1 of a 24.2. He's ahead of Simičić in sector 2, so a good lap so far by Mohammed Patel as he heads into the Subway Lagoon corner. A corner that I think pretty much most drivers don't like around this track. It's such an awkward one, especially as the tyres begin to wear. But for Mohammed Patel, I'm interested to see what his straight line speed's going to be. 305 kilometers an hour down the back straight. He's got a good top speed here. Let's see, Daniel Kish has actually gone and taken pole position with a 32.4, but can Patel beat it? No, he can't. He's a tenth and a half down.
I've just got a feeling that we're going to see the deck shuffled a bit today, because Gosby was looking very good in practice as well, and now we've got Kiss in provisional pole, albeit after their first lash at it. I think there's probably 2 tenths more to come off this as the track rubbers in. But we've got a lot of the drivers looking very, very feisty, and I don't think Mo Patel is going to have it all his way.
No, Michi Hoy and Martin Stefanko are both out there on laps at the moment. Michi Hoy coming into the final corner now. A little bit down in sector 1 and a little bit down in sector 2 compared to Daniel Kish. Let's see what his lap time is going to be as he crosses the line, puts himself 5th place. What about his teammate Martin Stefanko?
Yeah, I don't think Martin's feeling brilliant about this track this week. He's had a bit of a lack of practice by his normal high-volume standards.
I mean, practice is something that's absolutely crucial in the World Championship. I mean, it's crucial in every division of Formula Sim racing. Oh, way sideways from Martin Stefanko. That's going to cost him a little bit of lap time. Let's see what top speed he's going to get up to down into the final corner. He got up to 305 kilometers an hour with that big tank slapper. That would suggest to me he's perhaps running a slightly skinnier wing than some. So as he crosses the line, where's it going to be? 8th place. But yeah, a track that maybe Martin might struggle at today, because I believe he's also feeling a little bit unwell.
Looking at the top speeds, I think 307, 308 is the maximum speed guys are achieving. It doesn't look like anybody's done what George Winter did earlier today yesterday in Ace. Ran pretty low wing, and he had a top speed of 323 kilometres an hour, which made him absolutely impossible to pass on the long straights, but it sort of hurt his tyre wear and hurt his performance in Sector 2 a little bit. The other thing is, of course, because we run Parc Ferme, if it starts to rain, you want as much wing as possible. So all the teams would have erred on the side of more rather than less wing, because if we get wet weather, they can take some front wing off and still have a lot of rear wing available.
Definitely. Eros Masciuli about to cross the line, puts himself into 8th place and bumps Stefanko down a little bit. And let's see, John Eric Saxon's actually done a pretty decent Sector 1 time with 24.3. So perhaps we could have a quick ride on board with him. So he wasn't available to race in Magny-Cours, which was unfortunate for Jean-Eric Saxon, but racing for Born to Win here, currently sitting in 12th place, 2 tenths up on his previous best time, which would look at putting him, well, it's only going to be around about 8th, 9th place, but it's all going to depend on how he gets around the final corner, because you've mentioned about how tricky this track is, Dave. I mean, you can absolutely mint Sector 1, you can mint Sector 2, but you can absolutely lose it all in the penultimate and final corner. But for John-Eric Saxon, crosses the line, it is 8th place.
Well, I don't think John will be uptight if he manages to hang on to 8th place when quali washes out. I don't think John will be too uptight about that, but I've got a feeling there's going to be some more attacks.
There is by Jurny
Simicic.
Well, Jurny Simicic is on a lap at the moment. He's just gone purple Sector 2 and he's improved on his personal best Sector 1. So he's 2.5 tenths up on his previous best lap time. So if he can actually nail this final sector, he's got a good opportunity of taking at least 2nd place. And to a degree, Simicic and Gosby need to be ahead of Mohamed Patel if they want any chance of fighting for the title in the remaining rounds. A little bit cautious around the final corner for Jurny Simicic, but heading up to the line now. And what's it going to be? It's 3rd place. Lost a little bit too much time in that last corner.
It's incredible how it waxes and wanes. Michi Hoyer was our pole sitter last time out in Magny-Cours. And I'm sure Martin Gosby would be looking to have another fantastic performance to mirror his win back in Silverstone, which was on a wet and drying track. So if it ends up being a wet race, it's quite a big thing for the guys. It's because it's to have bragging rights in a wet race is kind of special.
Yeah, I mean, bringing weather into the equation changes absolutely everything. Mohamed Patel has started another flying lap, making his way through turns 1, 2 and now 3. And turn 3, it's a fairly comfortable flat out corner in the dry, but if we do get wet weather a little later on, it's nowhere near flat out, I don't think. Now let's see, he's down a little bit in Sector 1, but it's enough that he may be able to pull it back. Turns 6 and 7, 2 fantastic corners, aren't they, Dave? Well, 6, 7, 8 and 9 are all phenomenal. Was it 5, 6, 7 and 8?
Kiss has gone personal best in Sector 1. He's only a few hundred metres down the road behind Patel. So I'll keep an eye on Kiss for you.
Okay,
but, certainly he's a fraction quicker than Patel and on a personal best in Sector 1.
And Patel's down a little bit again in Sector 2. He's not improving on his overall lap time here. 29.9, Sector 2.
Kiss goes very slightly quicker, a couple of hundredths quicker. So personal best to get in Sector 2. And remember, the personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2 from the pole sitter invariably means a purple lap as long as he holds it together through Sector 3. I think we're going to find a 132.3 thereabouts this time round.
Quite possibly. Mohamed Patel crossing the line. Improved in the final sector, but it's only a 32.567.
Well, that was a monster final sector then, because his first sector wasn't brilliant. So Kiss crossing the line now. And Kiss must have made a mistake because he went slower in that second attempt.
Yeah, he lost a little bit of time in that final sector, did Daniel Kish. Mohamed Patel did a 38.347 on that last sector just then. If you can improve a little bit in Sector 1 and Sector 2, he's got a good chance of beating Daniel Kish for pole position.
Simicic and Alessandro are on outlaps. Lukasek looks like he's on a hot lap. Wojciech Lukasek. Yeah, with a personal best Sector 1. Might be worth having a little look at either him or Masculi, but actually Masculi's gone quicker than him in Sector 1, so he might be a good one to ride on board with.
Yeah, well, Masculi's had a pretty decent Sector 2 as well. The 30.1 is 1.5 tenths up on his own previous best. I mean, I know Lukasek is quite quick around this particular circuit, but I think he may have just abandoned his lap. So Masculi then into the final corner.
Yeah, nice exit from turn 15.
He's absolutely planting the throttle on the exit there, and up to 6th place.
Nice effort, moves up several spots. We now have 8 drivers within the 1:32 mark. And separated, top 8 separated by 0.55 of a second. 7 minutes 45 seconds left to qualify. All the leading drivers have got two more hot runs available to them. Kiss on an outlap again. Mohammed Patel just leaving the garage. Simičić just about to start a hot lap, I think. Yeah, Simičić is on a hot lap.
Well, if you want to take us through Simicic's lap, I'm just going to keep an eye out for Michi Hoyer. So I'm going to scream and shout at you as to what he's getting on
sure.
with his lap.
Well, full gas through the very fast and long turn 3, up to touching just under 300 kilometres an hour. Late on the brakes, clips the apex nicely at the uphill right-hander turn 4, modelled on Austria turn 2, by the way, and full on the gas the whole way through 5-6, which is very impressive. He's really got this car hooked up, Journey. Not the slightest of lifts there. And back on full gas halfway through the turn 7-8, those double right-hander combination. Big braking zone into the uphill tight left-hander turn 9. And he is on full gas straight away. He's not feathering the throttle at all. So I think Journey's got his car really beautifully hooked up here. He's getting maximum traction. It's flat here through turn 12, turn 13. And this is a really tricky braking zone. He was at 275 kph, and you've got to feather the car in, decelerating it, getting it turned in. There's no real braking markers. It's all done from memory. And then try to get the apex at 14 as he heads up to turn 15. Late on the brakes there. It's deceptive here. It's very wide, but it's a very tight corner joining the back straight and the front straight. But it's looking to me like a very clean lap. And in fact, he does move up from P3
Michi Hoyer's flying. Michi Hoyer's flying. He's done a 24.3 sector 1, very good. Purple sector 2 with a 29.7. Simicic's final sector was a 38.0. That's phenomenal. That's about 3/10 faster than anybody else, I believe, at the moment. Let's see what Michi Hoyer can do as he's making his way now down to the final corner. He could find himself on potentially the second row of the grid here. So nicely around the final turn, heading up towards the finish line. Where are you going to put it, Michi?
He's on pole. Michi's
Wow.
taken pole. Incredible. 5,000ths of a second quicker than Daniel Kiss. That was well spotted, Dave.
But
Boy, flying.
The interesting thing about that, though, his sector 3 time was 3/10 slower than Simicic.
Well, Simičić is simply flying in sector 3. What a lap from Michi Hoyer.
Patel, though, is just under 24.2 sector 1 time. Let's see, where's he now? Heading into turns 7 and 8, I believe it is.
Yeah, the double right-hander.
Yep. Apologies if I'm not with it today, folks. We've just finished a rather long, hot, sweaty race. So good luck to us on this one. Let's see. He's down in his sector 2, though. But that's where you said, Dave, Simicic has been phenomenal, sector 2 and sector 3. But let's see. Can Patel bring anything back on this one? I mean, it's an interesting situation, though, for Mohammed Patel. He's currently sandwiched between potentially his 2 title rivals. And he doesn't really want to be in that fight with them. It's a bit of a risk zone. He'd rather be nearer his teammate where he's got a bit of a buffer. So let's see how Patel's going to get on with turn 15. Turning in quite early for turn 15, but opens up the exit nicely, easily, comfortably on the throttle. Crosses the line and does not improve. Nearly 2 tenths down.
Okay, very interesting. Well, Hoyer has shown that, and certainly it's not over yet, all of the drivers have got another flying lap. 3 minutes 50 seconds left on the clock, and they'll need to get out there fairly soon, actually, because the outlap will take them probably a minute 50 from the time they leave the pit lane. So Patel, in fact, going out for his final shot at it now. He will want to get further forward if he can. Fantastic for the audience, though, to see these guys who aren't leading the championship in front of Mohammed Patel on the grid at the moment. And of course, you know, this is the thing about World Championship. The level is so high that any of these top 10 drivers are able to challenge for the win. And I think strategy here, it's not a slam dunk like it was in Magny Cours. The strategic choices here are going to be more interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's a circuit. It's not exactly easy to overtake here. If you've got straight line speed, it is helped a lot. But as we saw with George Winter yesterday, having the straight line speed is one thing, but you're going to suffer so badly in that sector too that you need to have a car that's got a mechanical grip to stay close to a driver that you're following. Let's see. I think Daniel Kiss, Simoncic, and Mohamed Patel are all out again on another flying lap. Or getting ready to go for another flying lap. Christoph Schoer is about to cross the line. He's up on his personal best and goes 14th with a 33.2.
So I'm on board with Mohamed Patel at the moment. He's bringing the tyres in very, very gently. This is a very smooth and very low energy out lap. And I think Mo wants to be able to absolutely punish the tyres for this next qualifying lap. So let's see if we're perhaps right on board with the World Championship leader as he attempts to put the car on the front row. So he leaves turn 15, gets a good line onto the pit straight, maximum acceleration. He will brake around 100 metres or less, about 80 metres he brakes at. Got to get the car over to the right here at the end of turn 1 so he gets a nice fast line attitude. There's a big bump here, so the car's got to be straight when you put the gas back down again, or it's really mega easy to spin. He's clean on this lap so far as he approaches the upper right hand of turn 4. A little bit tricky there because the car tends to get light. And let's see, we'll know in a moment. His sector time is not a personal best for sector 1.
Daniel Kiss has done a personal best. It's only by 0.021 of a second, but he is slightly up, and so is Reilly Simoncic.
But I tell you what, the way Mo warmed his tyres up, he's spun. Mohamed Patel has spun after the exit of turn 8.
Okay,
I was
Daniel
about
Kiss.
to theorise about his tyres coming in later in the lap, but that's for naught now. So that is Mohamed Patel over and out, and he's going to hope nobody else jumps ahead of him. At the moment, he's on row 2.
Daniel Kiss is up, and he's up enough that if he can carry this on throughout the rest of the lap, he's going to take pole position. But Michi Hoyer is still, he's out on track on an out lap. Let's see how Reilly Simoncic is a 10th up, but no, he's made a mistake. Off the track he goes, so focusing then on Daniel Kiss. This is your opportunity. He's ran a little bit wide though around turn 14, and he knows it. That may have just cost him his opportunity of taking pole position. It's a long run, a frustrating run to the final corner when you've made a little bit of an error, but has he carried the speed? Has he got enough? Can Kish take pole? No, he can't. Lost 3/10.
Just didn't quite keep it tidy on that, certainly on sector 3. It's interesting, isn't it? The track rubber's in, but I think sometimes the butterflies get a bit bigger too in the pit of the stomach on these last dash attempts. Hoyer has done a PB sector 1, so it looks like Hoyer is going to go even quicker. So that's a scary thought for everybody, although he's only 5 thousandths ahead of Kiss. But it would just be nice for him to consolidate and just his hold on pole position in this last attempt and just lay down a marker and show these guys what he's capable of. Looking very strong out of turn 9.
Oh, lovely sector 2, 29.7 purple sector.
Hoyer is on fire and looking like he's going to extend his pole. Very quick entry into 14 and beautifully hooked up. A lovely exit from turn 14, which is not easy to do. So he's just now got to manage the very sharp, wide turn 15, which links up the very long back straight with the very long pit straight. But that was looking good to me.
I think he's got it.
Oh, we're 32.127. And that extends his gap. Instead of 5 thousandths of a second now, he's got 0.28 of a second. So that was a fantastic lap by Michi Hoyer.
Yeah, Michi Hoyer has just blown every driver out of the water with that one. The only thing that I'm going to sort of mention about that, let's see, Jos Arenade's just crossed the line. He stays 14th. The only thing I would mention about Michi Hoyer there is his straight line speed is higher than anybody else's in the top 7. So that may be where the lap time has come from. We'll see how his car handles with heavier fuel and potentially how it handles if rain comes later on. Because, I mean, looking at the straight line speeds, it looks like Hoyer's lowest on aeros. Simoncic may be a little bit higher.
Well, it sets us up for a fantastic race because we've got Mohammed Patel, who's won, I think, 6 of the previous 8 events on the second row, and we've got 3 very quick, very capable guys in front of him. But as we learned in Magny Cours, being in front of Mohammed Patel for the whole of the first stint really doesn't count for much. You've got to run longer than him. You can't let him do a couple of laps after your pit.
No,
he goes for that overcut like a demon.
I think he's got a nickname called Patience, Mohammed Patience Patel, because that's what he's been doing a lot this season. He's just been sitting there patiently behind the guy ahead and going, "Oh, it's all right, I'm going to go longer than you are, and I'm going to pass you then." In a moment we're going to have a look at the driver standings and the constructor standings. We've hinted a little bit about the fact that Mohammed Patel is leading the championship, so we will have a look at those in a moment, and then we'll run some ads towards the end of this warm-up session. So if our broadcaster is ready, maybe I've just been told no, he's not. So the warm-up session, Dave, what are these guys going to do for the warm-up session now then? Are they driving round thinking, okay, what do I do if it rains? What do I do if it rains? Or is it just pure, right, I'm going to hope it stays dry, let's focus on getting settled in the car?
Yeah, well, I think that's they've got to deal with what they know is going to happen. So, I think they've been doing qualifying laps with 9 litres of fuel in the car and absolutely extending every part of the track to take the maximum out of the tyres in one lap. They've now got to put 60, 70, 80 litres of fuel in the car and make any minor adjustments that they want to make. There's a very small list of things they can adjust. They can adjust brake balance and pressure, front wing, steering lock, and that's about it if they want to make changes from their qualifying setup, and that's what Parc Fermé is all about. So the guys will fuel the cars up and get some laps under their belt and start to get the feel for the car in race trim, and get their heads around managing tyres now, as opposed to taking everything out of them that they possibly can in one lap.
Okay, good stuff. Right, we'll have a quick look at the Drivers' Championship standings then. Leading the way, we have Mohammed Patel on 168 points, followed by Martin Gosby. Quite a bit of a gap, and Gosby and Simoncic really need to take the fight to Patel. So Gosby second place on 104, with Yerny Simoncic in third on 82 points. And then we've got Michi Hoyer in fourth place on 71 points. And given he's on pole position today, if he can convert that into a win, he's got a good chance of gaining a place. In fifth place, we've got Daniel Kirsch on 68 points. He's followed by Eros Masciuli on 41, Martin Stefanko on 37 points, Lars Brugman on 30, Michele D'Alessandro in 9th place on 28 points, and Daniel Brewer in 10th on 27 points.
Yeah, interesting, Dave, as you run through those top 3 guys have all won a race. Hoyer and Kiss are both due a win, I think. So both more than capable of winning. They've just got to string it all together.
Okay, and looking at the constructor standings, I mean, we know that Mohammed Patel has been winning races. You mentioned there about Gosby and Simoncic are also race winners, but Mohammed Patel's team, Musto Racing, leading the championship on 238 points, got a 90-point lead to Flag Brem GP on 148 points. In third place, we've got Avid Chronic Racing on 108 points, followed by Ghost Speed Racing Team on 93. In fifth, we've got Twister Racing on 69 points, and not too far behind them is Stormcharge Vodbull Racing on 49. In seventh, we've got Netrex Grand Prix on 28 points, and then only 1 point behind them is Invictus Motorsport. They're closely followed by Ghost Speed Engineering, who have got 24 points, and then we have VB Madcape on 16 and Born to Win, rounding out the constructors on 8 points.
Yeah, interesting to note that Mohammed Patel's teammate in Musto Racing is Daniel Kiss. So it's a pretty strong team when you stop and think about it.
Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, I believe we're about to run a couple of adverts, so sit back, enjoy folks, and we'll be back to the live action in a few moments.
Hey man, I got that new TMX Thrustmaster wheel. It's going down.
Xbox One?
I can't wait to play when I get home.
Yo, let me play.
Yeah, I play first. Yeah.
You know, I'll race it for it.
Well, I have to hand you.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here at the Sepang circuit in Malaysia for the Formula Sim Racing World Championship. We've got a couple of minutes left of the warm-up session before we head over to the start of the race. And I've seen a few drivers practicing race starts because this is a track where the start is absolutely crucial. We'll have another look at the circuit information for today's event. As I mentioned, it's the Sepang Malaysia circuit, with a track length of 5.543 kilometers, race distance of 56 laps. Strategies could go either way, could be 2-stop, could be 3-stop, could be option, could be option, prime, could be option, wet, because the race conditions, there's a 90% chance of rain, humidity of 79%, and an air temperature of around 29 degrees out there at the moment. Dave, this is a circuit I know you've had quite a bit of information about, and what would you say are going to be the key factors around this circuit for the drivers today?
Well, it's interesting to note this is the famous Herman Tilke. This was his first effort in Formula One, and it goes back. They broke ground in 1997, and the track opened in '99. So this track's been with us for 18 years now, although it always feels quite new. And in my opinion, it's a very, very challenging track technically. There's only 15 corners, but there's so much going on in many of the corners. The turn 1-2 combination, very tight and twisty. You've got to get a great exit out of there. Turn 4, which is an absolute replica. It was inspired by turn 2 in Austria. It's a partially blind uphill right-hander. Got to get the entry right, got to get the exit right there. And then the turn 5-6 combination, that flat out combination, which he replicated in Bahrain actually, although it's heading uphill versus a downhill entry here, which absolutely nukes the tyres. And then the double right-hander 7-8. One of the things that I think the guys have got to get under control is not get too carried away enjoying throwing the car around, and they've got to manage tyre temps a bit, because you can absolutely cook the tyres in a lap here. And as we saw so well demonstrated last time out in Magny Cours, Mohammed Patel, by going 2 laps longer, looked after his tyres, and he had the pace to do the overcut when Michi Hoyer pitted. And Sander Callis showed it to us yesterday. By managing his option tyres, he could go longer and faster than anybody else. So tons of technical challenges, tons of, I think, close racing. But it's a track that you've got to balance that maximum commitment, maximum attack with a bit of judgment to just keep the car in one piece.
Yeah, definitely. It does make sense, because, and the reason I'll try and perhaps touch on that a little bit more is, I mean, you say drivers can't afford to just go throwing their car around because of the tyre temperatures, and the reason for that is, if they do that, the further into a stint they go, the less grip they're going to have. It's simple physics, really. So the less chance they have got of gaining anything by staying out. Like, for example, okay, Mohammed Patel in Magny-Cours, if he'd have been throwing the car around like a madman, his tyres wouldn't have been fast enough on those 2 longer laps to be able to get the benefit of it. So there is a fine line between pushing the limits and going way beyond.
Well, yes, indeed, because if they overdo it early in their stint, the tyre just starts to go away from them, particularly the option, and you end up with less grip, which means more sliding, more temp, more steered angle, less grip, more wear, and you get into this incredibly quickly accelerating or this vicious cycle, downward spiral of tyre performance. So you've just got to be a bit disciplined and know when to sort of play your cards. And it's one of the things about these World Championship guys. It's one thing to put some fuel in the car and match these guys over one lap, but to be able to go as quick as they do and manage tyres is unbelievable. We've got cars forming on the grid now, Dave.
Yep, that we have, and in a moment we'll have a quick run through the order. I am definitely interested to see what Michi Hoyer's race is going to be like with that slightly lower front wing. But Dave, if you'd like to quickly run us through perhaps the top 10 of the qualifying order?
With pleasure. So leading them out on the formation lap, we've got Michi Hoyer, our pole sitter last time out, and our second place getter from Magny-Cours. Daniel Kiss joining him on the front row. Daniel, a top flight driver, untouchable in Catalonia last season in the previous mod. Journey Simoncic, a Formula Sim Racing race winner and one of the top drivers on the grid, joined by Mohammed Patel on row 2. Mohammed Patel is the World Championship leader at this stage of the game after 8 races completed. Martin Gosby, who is a very experienced Formula Sim Racing driver and was our winner in Silverstone on a wet and drying track with an inspired tyre strategy. So Martin is a quick guy. Michele D'Alessandro, another one of the boys who was in the 132s in quali. P7, Eros Masculi. P8, Giordano Valeriano, Netrex driver. 9th, Wojciech Lukasek, who is a pro driver normally. This would be his last championship drive, otherwise he'll have to stay up full time. After 3 races, you've got to stay in the division that you move up to.
I think this is only his second one, though.
Oh, okay. And Wojciech actually started from back of grid in pro today and came second. So he's got pace, and he's certainly got his eye in, having run a full race distance in pro earlier today. And James Sadler, the team boss of Go Speed Racing in P10. The rest of the names there you can see on the totem pole on your left. Michael Francesconi, Netrex Grand Prix. John Eric Saxon, Born to Win. Jos Araneda, Invictus. Martin Stefanko, Abercronic. Christoph Skoa, Go Speed Engineering. Timu Valkiavi, Born to Win. Florian Becker, Flag to Flag, Brem GP. And Fran Lopez, VB Mad Cape. And that makes up our 18-man grid.
It does. I'll quickly mention as well that Martin Stefanko did have a 5-place grid penalty from the last round, but also, let's see, Florian Becker had a 14-place grid penalty. Fran Lopez, I'm guessing it's perhaps a late allocation that has led to him starting from the pit lane, because drivers do have to allocate before midnight the day before the race. Well, Michi Hoy, though, lining up on a pole position now, and he waits as his temperatures on his engine rise, but on his tyres they cool down, and on the brakes they cool down. And this is where it's going to be crucial for the drivers to have prepared their brakes correctly for that heavy braking zone down into turn 1, where we could see beautiful racing or we could see carnage. Either way, we are about to find out.
Yeah, Lopez starting from pit lane.
Okay, so here we go then for the Formula Sim Racing World Championship, sponsored by Thrustmaster, and the lights go out and away they go. It's a good start from Michi Hoyer. Daniel Kiss has had a fairly decent start. Yuni Simic trying to apply some pressure, but he's going to be hung around the outside. Daniel Kiss having a look up the inside. Mohamed Patel trying to do the same as well, and he's trying to get up alongside Yuni Simic, but he gives Simic a little bit of a nudge, and I think Mohamed Patel may have just damaged his front wing a little bit, but for Michi Hoyer, it's been a phenomenal start. Mohamed Patel is under pressure though from Michele D'Alessandro and Martin Gosby, who are side by side up towards turn 4. Gosby and D'Alessandro still side by side now. It's going to end badly, or Gosby nearly clips the back of Mohamed Patel, who was a little bit slow with the dirty air, but Gosby manages to take that 5th place, and now he can see his title rival right ahead of him.
Incredibly hard battle between D'Alessandro and Gosby there through that turn 4, 5, 6 combination. D'Alessandro just slightly taps Gosby's gearbox with his front wing there. I don't think it was intentional, sort of love tap to say, hey, I'm still here. But you've got to be careful because gearboxes are a fair bit more sturdy than front wings.
That they are. Michi Hoyer though got a 0.7 second lead at the moment. I'm interested to see what kind of top speed Daniel Kish is going to get to on this first lap in a little bit of slipstream. But Michi Hoyer, as we know, he's got good straight line speed anyway. And let's see Daniel Kish hitting 307 kilometres an hour. That's what Hoyer was hitting in qualifying without any slipstream. So as lap 1 comes to an end, then it looks like everybody has got through that first lap beautifully, cleanly. And now it's all about what are you going to do for the rest of the race, guys? Who has got what it takes to take victory in Sepang? We've got a long way to go. We still have a chance of rain. But Dave, I mean, from the start of that race there, I mean, for Mohamed Patel, is it disaster already? Or can he still play his patient game?
Well, I think it's still mega competitive amongst certainly these top 4 or even these top 6 really. We've got 56 laps to run. We've got a lot of strategy to play out. And it's going to be, you know, we harped on about it before, and I know we talk about tyres a lot, but it's one of the magnificent things about this rFactor 2 simulation is the tyres behave like tyres, and you've really got to manage them. And some of these guys, you know, we're going to
cut you off a second, Dave. Sorry, Martin Stefanko coming under pressure. Let's see, who is that? It's Michael Francesconi making a move up the inside, but that's because Stefanko is on the prime compound tyre, and he had a horrible turn 7 and 8, which put him under pressure. Florian Becker behind him, also on primes, trying to make a move, but not quite able to do it. But yeah, prime tyres not nice at the moment. Heavy fuel at the start of the race.
Yep, Saxon's the first of the prime runners. And they're going to be basically paying the penance, I think, for the first 10 laps at least, and then they'll start to come into their own. But no, any one of these top 6 or 7 guys can win from here. We've got so much racing. So much racing's going to happen between now and the checkered flag. And the biggest question that I think Michi Hoyer would have asked his engineer before he started this race is, how many laps do you think Mohamed Patel is going to run on the opening stint? Because I want to run one more lap than him.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the drivers have to take that gamble and go, you know what, I'm just going to put more fuel than what I believe my tyres can do and hope I can go that lap longer. Just to let you know as well that Christoph Schulze got ever so close to making a move on Michael Francesconi into turn 1. Schulze on the prime tyre, looking very racy and very comfortable on those tyres at the moment. As you said, Dave, the first 10 laps on the primes, it's going to be painful, but it's going to pay off a little bit later into the race.
Well, Christoph Schulze, of course, did a full race distance yesterday in the ACE race. So for any viewers that aren't aware, ACE runs exactly the same, full championship race distance, full weather. The only difference is that they're allowed to use auto clutch. So Schulze certainly got his eye in with a full dress rehearsal yesterday and should know what he needs to do today. Hoyer, of course, in the lead now by 1 second. He's in that lovely position. He can, if he can start thinking about managing tyres and being able to go longer. Whatever he doesn't want to do The one thing he doesn't want to do is pit before Patel. But fantastic that we still have, at the end of 3 laps, we still have 18 cars on the track. We haven't lost any cars due to incidents or accidents. So we've got a full complement.
Also, Dave Stefanko trying to make a move on Christoph Schulze. Prime tyre versus prime tyre. And Stefanko, I mean, this is going to be a difficult race for him. Not feeling very well, not having had a lot of practice. And a big part of that practice is how the car's going to handle in dirty air. But at the moment, he's having a look up the inside into turn 4. He's able to hold it alongside, but Christoph gets the better exit. Now Stefanko's going to be hung out to dry, and now the dirty air comes into effect. He's going to have to back off a little bit in the hope that he can keep the car on the track and try and close up the gap towards the end of the lap. I mean, really, this is a circuit where, unless the car ahead makes a mistake, you've just got to, main focus has got to be as close as you can into turn 14. That's what's going to give you the best opportunity to make moves.
That was a nice attack under brakes by Stefanko, but of course on the inside the area had a more acute angle and couldn't get the same drive off the corner that Christoph Schulze got. But certainly Schulze knows he's there now, and Stefanko knows he's got the pace to attack Schulze. So this is going to be game on until these boys sort this out, because Stefanko will want to be as close as possible. He certainly wants to be well within a pit stop of these option runners.
I'll tell you what, is also game on. Daniel Kish has closed the gap up to Michi Hoyer to just under 7/10 of a second. I'm not sure if Michi Hoyer had a little bit of a mistake somewhere. I'll check his lap times. But Daniel Kish has made it it's a fight for the lead of the race. But strategy-wise, we're probably looking at anywhere around about 10 more laps on these option tyres.
Yeah, agreed. Stefanko's making himself massive in the mirrors here for Christoph Schulze. He made a bit of it wasn't a lunge up the right-hand side, but he certainly made his presence felt in Christoph Schulze's right-hand wing mirror into turn 1. And this time Stefanko's focusing on getting a really good exit out of turn 4. So these guys are jousting away at the moment.
Okay, it was a slightly slower lap for Michi Hoyer that has allowed Daniel Kish to close the gap. And that slight mistake, it was only half a second that Hoyer lost, but it's enough for him to now be under pressure.
Yes, of course, Daniel Kiss has got to do battle with Michi Hoyer's dirty air. And Michi's just got that advantage of that nice clean wall of air that he's driving through, and Daniel Kiss is driving through his disrupted air, which is very handy on a straight, not so much fun on a corner. They're both dropping Journey Simichich slightly, which of course is holding Mohammed Patel back a little bit. And if Kiss and Hoyer, well, although I was going to say if Kiss and Hoyer are smart, they'll stay in formation and pull as big a gap as they can on Patel. But Kiss is Hoyer's Kiss is Patel's teammate. So if Patel is saying anything to Kiss, he's going to be saying,
I'm going to cut you off, Dave. Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Michael Francesconi trying to make a move on James Sadler around the outside of turn 1. He's going to have the inside line for turn 2, but it's going to be an ever so tight line. He's going to have to do a little bit of bodywork flying off the Go Speed car there as well. Francesconi can't quite get the move done.
Yeah, Sadler lost his front wing end plate on the left side there. A little bit of wheel banging. And that isn't going to help him going forward. But some spirited fighting between these guys.
I mean, I know I mentioned that perhaps the best thing to do is just make sure you're close at turn 14. The problem is, if you haven't got the straight line speed to attack into the final corner or turn 1, you've got to make it happen elsewhere. So we may see drivers take more and more risk as this race goes on.
So 5 laps completed to 56 laps. So the fuel loads come down a little bit. The tyres are certainly fully in as far as temperature goes, but the option tyres at this point in time are starting to potentially start to need a little bit of management now. But Hoyer is still looking strong. He's half a second ahead of Kiss. He hasn't pulled a comfortable gap, but he's in front on the road, and he's not really under any strong threat. So Hoyer just needs to stick to the knitting, keep putting in good laps. His previous lap was 1/1500 slower than Kiss's previous lap, but Hoyer's best lap was 2/10 quicker.
I mean, it's an interesting situation for Daniel Kish now as well. I mean, you said the best thing for these guys to do is just sort of drive in formation and pull away from Reilly Simoncic. But at the same time, as a team pairing goes for Kiss and Patel, a little bit of a fight here and bringing Simoncic, Patel into the fight could actually benefit Musto more than just Kish going after Hoyer.
Yeah. Well, if Kiss starts to fight with Hoyer, that's going to slow the both of them down and give Mohammed Patel a better chance of a win. But also, you know, I think this team is going to be pretty motivated for Daniel Kiss to put a win on the board in 2017. He's a multiple race-winning driver in previous seasons. He was absolutely untouchable in Melbourne in 2015. He won the Ace race, won the World Championship race, and a couple of races after that decided Ace wasn't for him anymore. He was going to move up to World Championship and race against the fastest guys available. Gosby's dropped D'Alessandro somewhat. There's a second and a half between them now, so there's not a lot of pressure on Gosby. But Gosby, if anything, is slightly closing up on the Patel-Simoncic pairing. So Gosby is certainly looking ambitious this afternoon, which is great to see. He doesn't want to just win one race this season.
Francesconi and Sadler going at it again through turn one. This time Sadler not quite defending turn one, as he had enough straight line speed on that occasion. But Francesconi, oh, big twitch on the exit of turn two there. Nearly lost it on the curb. Excuse me. But yeah, Francesconi looking very racy, looking like he's wanting to take every opportunity that he can. Oh, but he's struggling with a little bit of understeer now, and that's going to compromise him a lot as he takes a different line through turns 5 and 6, and it's a good idea to do that, but he's still suffering with a lot of understeer. I'm thinking he's running quite a low wing on that car.
Well, it's all going to start to come alive over the next 5 or 6 laps as the option tyres wear, and the players have no choice, the drivers have no choice but to play their cards in terms of their pit strategy. It's almost a case of who blinks first, because invariably the first person to pit is back out with new tyres, yes, but a lot more fuel load. So when you rejoin, you're going slower than the guys who are still out there. So the bloke who can maintain this pace with a higher fuel load at this stage of the game is really the guy that's going to have the edge.
Yep, okay, we've really got a battle on now. Simoncic in third, Patel in fourth, Gosby in fifth. These guys are getting close to the leaders as well.
Port Francesconi looks like he's going to attack Sadler. He's got a lovely draft right underneath him into turn one. Sadler defends as robustly as the rules allow.
Kisses on Hoyer. He's going to make the move into turn four, and he does make the move. Side by side they go. A little bit of contact between the two of them. Sorry to cut you off there, Dave, but they're still side by side as they head towards turn five. Hoyer's got the inside line, but if Kish can hold it around the outside, he'll take the inside line.
Oh, how did he manage to keep the car on the track?
How have they done that? And here comes Simoncic now looking to attack Kish.
In the meantime, Francesconi has managed to pull off the pass on Sadler. They were joined in a battle at a similar stage of the race, at similar moments in time.
Yeah, sorry to have cut you off there, but
no
I just
problem.
happened to notice Mitchie Hoyt must have had a mistake into turn one, because it's the closest that Kish has been for the whole of the 8 and a bit laps we've raced so far.
Well, that was a fabulous side-by-side battle between those guys, and remarkable that it didn't end in tears with that little bit of wheel banging. Kiss was, I reckon, at 70-degree angle to straight ahead and managed to recover it. So he'll have some sweaty palms at the moment. Okay, just going in to have a look at Francesconi, our very accurate spotter here and broadcaster told me he thinks Francesconi has suspension damage. Pardon me, Simoncic.
Well, Simoncic, I think, did have minor contact. I think he was on about the second lap of the race. But I mean, this battle in the top five, it had spread out a lot. Gosby's got a great run here on Patel, though. but no, Patel's able to fend him off quite comfortably. But I mean, this is now really getting interesting because, I mean, for the likes of Martin Gosby, depending on what he does with his strategy, he's clearly still in with a chance of taking the lead of this race because he's obviously got pace, and only being, what, 2.8 seconds behind the leader. As we know, as you've mentioned, Dave, when it comes to the round of pit stops, you can gain and lose so much time depending on whether you go for undercut or overcut.
Yeah, Simičić is definitely driving with a little bit of suspension damage. You can see that his wheel is turned slightly to the side to go straight, which is never fun. But these top drivers never seem to amaze me how they can do 40 laps or 44 laps with a slightly wounded car and still do incredible pace. So Simičić is battling on. In fact, he's pulled a mini gap. He's got about a second to Mohammed Patel now. And I'm a little bit surprised that Simičić and Patel didn't close up closer on Hoyer and Kiss while they were having their battle. So Francesconi has cleared Sadler now and trying to make the jump across to Saxon. Of course, the thing is that Saxon is a prime runner, and we're now 10 laps in. So the prime tyre is probably feeling a little bit better than the option tyre at this point in time.
Well, interestingly, Hoyer and Kiss have been able to open up the gap again to Simičić. Obviously, we know now that Simičić is carrying a little bit of damage, and if Patel has been informed of that as well, Patel's possibly going to get a little bit more aggressive, push a little bit harder to try and make something happen on the part of Simičić, whether it's an easy move or making Simičić or forcing him into an error. But yeah, I mean, Hoyer and Kiss, I mean, you mentioned it, Dave, that it was a surprise that no one could capitalise. It's a surprise that they were both still going, to be honest, but it's also a surprise now that they've both been able to recover and go, right, okay, let's carry on, let's pull away again.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. And they've all got to make a pretty big adjustment. If they jump on primes at the next pit stop, they're going from a car that's on options and 75 odd litres of fuel, 60 odd litres of fuel, assuming a 15 lap stint, to a car that's on harder tyres and 20 more litres of fuel to do the longer stint. So it's quite a big adjustment, and that's what we saw Michi Hoyer stumble a little bit in Magny Cours. After a magnificent first stint, Michi just wasn't at all comfortable with the prime tyre.
Yeah, it was that transition, wasn't it? Going from options low fuel to primes high fuel. He just struggled to make that transition.
But knowing Michi as I do, Michi's my team boss at Abercronic Racing, I think Michi would have gone away from that and set himself the task of sorting that out. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares on the prime tyre here. 11 laps in. I would have said probably 15 laps, as you hinted before, Dave. And lap 15 is where we'll start to see a flurry of pit stops. Anybody who pits before then, I think, really is on the back foot, because it means they're not getting good tyre life at the pace they're running, and they've been doing it with less fuel, and the piper has to be paid at some stage with a heavy tanks and a prime fuel stint.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, Sander Kallas yesterday in Ace was able to do, I think it was 17 laps on his option tyres, but he was in a very different situation to the likes of Michi Hoyer. Michi Hoyer now, he is on the limit. He's pushing his tyres as much as he dares, whereas for Sander Kallas yesterday, he had a little bit more of a buffer and was able to look after his tyres. So even if Michi wants to go to, say, lap 17, especially with that half slide with Daniel Kish, the tyres may not be able to get there. So we're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen. And because of refueling as well, it means that for someone of the likes of Martin Gosby or even Mohammed Patel, who's got a little bit of a run here on Yerny Simičić, but I don't think he's close enough to have a go. No, he's not. Yeah, it's not like they can think, right, I'm going to pit now, brand new tyres, get an undercut on them, because unfortunately it doesn't work, as you mentioned, because of popping that extra fuel in.
Okay, speaking of which, Lucas Eck has actually pitted, which is pretty early pit stop.
Going to cut you off, Dave. Mohammed Patel, sorry, Dave. Yeah, he's really trying to pressure Yerny Simičić now. Carry on.
No, well, Lucas Eck's pitted. He's taken on primes, so that's a fairly early stop. 12 laps completed, so that's going to sort of drop him down the order a bit. We should see over the next 3 laps, we're going to see a bit more action in terms of who's going to pull the trigger on a pit stop.
Well, one thing we may have to keep an eye on is the pace of Lukacek, who has made that move. I mean, we don't know if... I mean, he could be on a 2-stop, might be on a 3-stop, because what I'm thinking is it is possible that with a shorter prime stint, the lap times could be quicker than the option tyres now that are worn. So there could be a potential crossover phase of an undercut being possible, but it all depends on the pace of the drivers at the moment. And talking about pace, I mean, Michi Hoyer, let's see, he's been doing 35s, mid 35s quite comfortably, quite consistently. So I'll keep an eye on what Lukacek's going to do on his prime tyres.
Yes, I'll be surprised if he does anything mystical, because he's on the prime. He's going to, theoretically, at least he's going to have more fuel on board than he had for on his option stint. So we shall see. Hoyer certainly keeping that comfortable, well, less than comfortable but stable gap of 0.65 of a second to Daniel Kiss. Kiss making his presence felt.
Just let you know, Masciuli is ever so close to the back of Giordano Valeriano at the moment. I mean, we've been focusing a bit more on this battle up the front since Kiss and Hoyer came together, without really sort of mentioning that Michele D'Alessandro has got himself into this fight as well. Valeriano is catching up to it, and he's bringing Masciuli into the battle as well. So we've effectively got an 8-car battle for the lead of the race.
And Michele D'Alessandro is a very fine driver. When it's a track he's happy with and he decides to switch it on, he's really magical driver. I think it was last year in Bahrain that he took his first win, but I might be wrong. But anyway, certainly he's a World Championship race winner and able to do incredible things in the car. Top 8 drivers separated by 7 seconds as we approach the pit window proper, opening at the end of the first stint, so we still have a hell of a close fight on. Valeriano trying to shake loose Masciuli a little bit and prevent him getting a tow. None of the top drivers pitting. So John-Eric Saxon is the leader.
So we've got Gosby, Simoncic and Patel side by side into turn 1 and turn 2. And now they're going to go side by side around turn 3. Both drivers are going to have to be careful of the rear end sticking out a little bit. Simoncic looks like he's got a better exit out of 3, covering off Patel into turn 4. Patel's too close to try a switchback. He is going to have a look, but yep, as soon as he applies the power, the rear end steps out, and now he's going to have to be careful of Gosby behind, and he's going to have to be careful of that dirty air, because the closer you get, the more effect it has. But Patel really trying to apply the pressure. This is something we didn't really see from Patel in previous races, although it tended to be sort of following a driver for the lead of the race. He's looking at making the moves now instead of sitting behind the driver and thinking, I'll just go longer than you, which we hinted at earlier on, Dave.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think Mohammed Patel can see the lead slipping out of his grasp, because he's now 4 seconds behind Hoyer, and that's too far back to make an attack over a pit stop sequence. So, yeah, he really would want to clear Simoncic and get closer to this lead pair, even if he's got a little bit of a strategic move up his sleeve. And Hoyer, Kiss, all past the pit lane again, straight down the pit straight, none of them stopping. That's 14. Valeriano pitting with 14 laps completed. So the first really of the front runners, Giordano Valeriano, pulls into the pits from his option stint. I'll keep an eye on him for you, let you know what he takes.
Okay, good stuff. Having kept an eye on Lukacek's prime tyres lap times, he's actually looking quite competitive on them at the moment. He is doing slightly better sector 1s than Simoncic and Patel, but they were battling last time through there. Let's see, Patel is close again to the rear of Simoncic, and I do have a feeling that with Simoncic's damage, if Patel was able to get past, he may be able to open up a little bit of a gap, but the more these guys fight, the more Hoyer and Kish are going to pull away.
Valeriano took on prime tyres.
Well, we're definitely into pit stop window now, as we've had a couple of drivers dive into the pit lane. Question is going to be, when is Hoyer going to pit? When is Kish going to pit? I can't imagine Patel's going to pit before everybody else in the top 5. Gosby is a driver that over the course of the season has made timing of his pit stops work to his advantage, but he's looking like his rear tyres are suffering badly, and this is definitely a rear
limited.
Rear limited, that was the word I'm looking for. The rear limited circuit.
He heard you, because Gosby has now peeled off into the pit lane, and so has Daniel Kiss. Daniel Kiss in the pits, Gosby in the pits. So they're the first ones to blink. Patel, to his relief, is least he's dropped rather Hoyer's dropped those off. The Kiss, Gosby, Araneda. Now, I tell you who should be feeling pretty good at the moment is Saxon, because Saxon was 15 seconds adrift of the lead. He's on his high fuel prime tyre stint, so he'll be able to unfurl a quick option stint after this one. So to be running nicely in the top 10 when you're paying the price of the heavy fuel run on the prime is a nice feeling.
Okay, you may have mentioned it that Daniel Kish has made a pit stop as well. He did pit just ahead of Martin Gosby. He's gone to the prime compound tyre. He came out right in front of Christoph Schoer, and he's barely got any time at all to Florian Becker ahead of him. And if Kish wants to make any kind of gain here, he can't afford to be held up by any traffic. But it looks like Patel and Simoncic are still close together. Yes, they are. And I think Patel may be in position to have a run if he can get a good exit out of turn 14 here, taking a nice wide line as he got the traction on the rear end. It's still looking good for him, and so an opportunity maybe as he got the straight line speed. He's gaining. Is either of these guys going to look at going into the pits? Yes, Simoncic is taking a line to the pit lane surely. Yes, he is, and so is Patel.
That was the most aggressive ploy into the pits, and they're following Hoyer. So great relief from Hoyer's camp.
Patel and Simoncic are side by side in the pit lane.
Hopefully they won't have a shared pit box. That'll be a tragedy if they do. No, they don't. Well, I tell you what, Hoyer is going to be very relieved that Patel wasn't running longer than him. So Jos Araneda, by virtue of the fact he hasn't pitted, temporarily takes the lead. And John Eric Saxon, our first prime runner, is in the lead. Is in second place.
Kish and Hoyer, 4 cars side by side around turn 1 and 2. There's contact between Kish and Hoyer in turn 2. There's damaged front wing there. I think that may be on Daniel Kish's car. I didn't fully see that. You may have done on the broadcast though.
I'm going to go back and see what happened.
Maybe we can get a look at a replay on that. But that's potentially race damaging for both Kish and Hoyer.
Yeah, Kiss around the outside of Hoyer into turn 1. Legitimate attack, but yeah, they made contact at the apex of 2. Yeah, nasty bit of work. Very unfortunate for the two of them. That has slowed them both down and may have played into the hands of Mohamed Patel ultimately.
Disastrously, it's put Michi Hoyer now down in 12th place. Daniel Kish is sitting in 7th, but he's got Yerni Simoncic right up his gearbox. And we were talking about Gosby timing his pit stops wisely. That collision could help out Gosby, Patel and Simoncic massively, but we may also have somebody else that benefits more out of that. We'll have to wait until the remaining pit stops are done. But what a twist in this race here in Malaysia.
Yeah, incredible twist, and I think we'll leave that to the stewards to decide if there is blame to be laid at anyone's feet. Certainly, Kiss had a bit of overlap. He'd had overlap from the midpoint of turn 1, and he still had a nose alongside Hoyer's rear wheels when Hoyer went for the apex of 2, and that's when contact occurred. So very tricky one, very unfortunate. Hopefully the guys' cars aren't suffering too much from damage. I'll just have a look on board with Hoyer, see if his steering wheel's straight. It was a very light, low-speed contact.
Well, while you're doing that, let's see the top 5 cars in this race now are all drivers that started on the prime tyre and have not pitted yet. So that's John-Eric Saxon, Martin Stefanko, Florian Becker and Fran Lopez. Becker and Lopez have been battling quite closely over the last few corners, and Christoph Schoer there also in 5th place on the prime tyre. Daniel Kish is now right behind them, but he's now got the problem of that damage on his front wing. When he makes his next pit stop, does he repair it? It's going to cost him time, or is the damage enough that he's going to have to make an additional pit stop?
Yeah, tricky, because he's lost the both the end plate and also the flap off that front wing on the right hand side in that collision with Hoyer.
Well,
So,
Kish,
yeah, tricky call whether he repairs that or not.
it is. Kish is still the overall, effectively the overall leader of this race, because when the 5 cars ahead of him pit, and Kish looks like he's actually about to try and make a move on Schoer, having a look at the inside, no, thinks better of it. He's going to try and go for a move in turn 1 instead, perhaps. Simoncic and Patel and Gosby still close behind, but yeah, looks like Daniel Kish is thinking, you know what, I don't want to hang about, I want to make moves, I want to pull ahead. Is he going to chuck it up the inside? Yes, he is. He has a look. It's a little bit of a late move, but I'd say it's a fair move. Christoph Schoer can't defend it too much, and that's Kish gaining places and putting more barriers between himself and those drivers behind that are going to try and take what could effectively be his first win of the season.
That was a fantastic attack from Kiss under brakes into turn 1, beautifully controlled. You've got to remember, while Fran Lopez is on worn primes, so rather Schoer was on worn primes, Kiss has got the fresh tyres, but Kiss has got 70 odd litres of fuel on board, so it's not necessarily easy to jump out on the fresh tyres and go fast, because the fresh tyres are always accompanied with a heavier fuel load. So Lopez and Becker are up ahead now, and Kiss is going to want to try and clear them as quickly as he can. They're probably in truth only going to be there for a couple more laps, and then they're going to pit and come back out to play on the faster option tyre.
Well, I suppose it's going to depend on whether these guys that started on the prime tyre are going to run prime again, or whether they're going to try and run this set of tyres long and run the option tyre twice. John-Eric Saxon's not looking at pitting yet anyway. As you say, Dave, probably going to be a couple of laps before any of them think about making that move towards pit lane.
Yeah, and it's a long pit lane here. When I tested it during the week, I came up with a figure of about 25 seconds, because you're not skipping any corners, unlike, for example, Silverstone, where you miss 4 or 5 corners in pit lane.
Patel's got to run on Simoncic. Yeah, he's definitely got to run on Simoncic here. Simoncic going defensive into turn 1. Patel's going to have to go all the way around the outside. And now he has a look at tucking back in for the switchback, and a double switchback. But no, he's not got the room to make the move. But if he's got Simoncic out of shape enough, he'll be able to attack into turn 4. Is he going to go for it late on the brakes? No, he doesn't. Simoncic covers it off quite nice.
And Gosby is right on this pair as well, so we've got a very intense fight amongst these guys for what is effectively P2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Christoph Schoer has not pitted yet, has he?
Nope.
Yeah, no, Christoph Schoer has not pitted yet. Now look at his lap times. Yeah, Schoer is still doing good lap times, so he's getting good tyre life. So he's going to be a bit of a stone in the shoe for these guys for a few more laps, or certainly for Simoncic.
He definitely is. Daniel Kish making gains on Fran Lopez now. I mean, you mentioned, Dave, that the guys ahead of him are on worn prime tyres, but to be fair, 21 laps on the prime tyres, they're not going to be that worn, are they? They've still got plenty of life.
Saxon getting from the lead, so our race leader, by virtue of not having stopped, comes into the pits. My money says he's going to come out behind Lukasek and in front of Francesconi, so we'll see if that holds true. Saxon has gone primes again, so John Eric is liking the prime tyre today.
So just as I say, there's plenty of life left in the prime tyres. John-Eric Saxon says, no, there isn't, I'll get rid of them. But it could just be tactical. I mean, splitting the strategy. The prime tyres, they will do 22 laps quite comfortably. Patel and Simoncic still fighting it out. I must admit, I'm impressed with the Kish's recovery after that incident with Michi Hoyer. The pace he's showing with a damaged car, damaged front wing, has been been very, very good. I mean,
Yeah, well, he's had tremendous composure because he had that sideways moment in sector 2, battling with Hoyer, and then he's basically, through no fault of his own, really has ended up staring straight at the side of Hoyer's car at the exit of 2. So to keep it all together and be effectively in the lead, although at the moment Martin Stefanko, who is yet to pit from his prime stint, having done 21 laps, this will be 22 when he completes this lap. So unless Martin's loving these primes, I expect we'll see him pit quite soon. No, he's going around for another lap, so Stefanko's enjoying his time in the sun on these prime tyres, because of course when he pits, he's going to come back out around about where Saxon is, around
Becker
about
and
14.
Lopez into the pits. Christoph Schoer also heads towards pit lane, and hopefully we won't see any collisions like we saw in H yesterday in the pit lane. Let's see what tyres are these guys going to go for. Just want to mention as well, excuse me, Michi Hoyer is closing in on Becker. Sorry, not Becker, on Gosby. Looking at the gap from Gosby to Hoyer, is only 2 seconds now.
Yeah, 1.5. Now Hoyer will be steaming. He's got 34 laps left to make this work. But it's so unfortunate to have led the race all the way into the pit stop cycle and then get tangled up on the out lap. Very unfortunate.
Okay, just to update everybody, Christoph Schoer comes out of the pits on a set of option tyres, Florian Becker on another set of prime tyres. Fran Lopez has gone to the options, and Jos Araneda, he's still running primes at the moment. So for those guys that are recently pitted, there's their tyre choices. But yeah, I mean, I mentioned Hoyer a moment ago because I also mentioned that Kish has done ever so well since that bit of contact, but so has Hoyer. He may be in a situation at the moment where, I mean, I've said before, racing angry is not a good thing to do, but maybe he's found himself in that little fine line of a groove of racing angry but racing quick on a charge back through.
Racing fired up. Well, he's 6.5 seconds back from Kiss, so there's certainly 22 laps in. To be only 6 seconds away from Kiss, it's still a fight that can really happen. And it will, as always, depend a little bit on what these guys do on this stint, whether they're all fueled to about the same length again. Now Hoyer, Hoyer on prime. All the main runners are on primes. Okay, so this should be a fairly long stint, a 21, 22 lap stint, which says, of course, that there's only going to be one more stop.
Yep, I'm just going to have a quick check on the weather as well, because obviously we were saying earlier on there's a 90% chance of rain, and it's not looking like that's happening at all. So I'm going to have a quick look at that and see if we may have anything coming our way.
Yeah, the forecast has been quite threatening. Of course, it's kind of midnight or 1 in the morning now in downtown Kuala Lumpur, and I think the heavy rain normally comes in the afternoons, but we shall see what happens. So Stefanko holding a 10-second lead by virtue of the fact that he hasn't pitted. He will need to pit soon, and when he does pit, we expect him to come out around about where John-Eric Saxon is, in 11th place, but potentially will come out on an option tyre and be able to have quite a feisty stint on the option. And sure enough, Stefanko now pitting, so he pulls into pit lane. We'll see what tyres he takes. Moves up to his pit box and only now surrenders the lead. And yes, Stefanko's taken on options and of course the correspondingly lighter fuel load to run the shorter stint that the options can deal with. And as he approaches the limiter line, releases the pit limiter, and it looks like in fact he's come out ahead of Saxon, so that was timely for Stefanko, which means he's going to have Stefanko's going to have a bit of clear air ahead of him before he comes up against Lukaszek on the prime, and fairly worn primes too by this stage. 10 lap prime.
Well, I mean, every driver ahead of Martin Stefanko is on the prime tyres, and I can imagine that Stefanko's going to run options potentially twice now, and when he stops again. So we could see Stefanko. I mean, what? how far off the lead is he? 15 seconds off the lead. He's not going to fight for the lead of the race, I don't think. But if he can make some moves, he can quite possibly get to a point of attacking his teammate, Michi Hoyer, in 6th place.
Well, it's certainly going to create some excitement in this stint, because we've got Stefanko in a very feisty mood and on the option. And the gaggle of cars ahead of him are all prime runners. He, of course, won't want to get in Michi Hoyer's way, but there's a mini gap between Hoyer in 6th and Giordano Valeriano in 7th. But certainly Stefanko should be targeting coming out of this in 7th place at the next pit stop.
Patel, he's still stuck behind Yerny Simoncic, sitting in 3rd place. But I'm wondering, though, if Patel's now going into what we've seen of him in previous races. As I think Michi Hoyer, let's see, Michi Hoyer, he's trying to attack D'Alessandro, not quite able to do it. But yeah, I'm wondering if Patel has now sat into that rhythm, Dave, that we were on about earlier on. Now he's thinking, okay, Simoncic is ahead of me. I can go longer on this stint and then make the move.
We've got a bit of a fight on our hands too with Masciuli and Valeriano. Masciuli is making himself big in the mirrors of Valeriano, and those two, in fact, along with Lukasek, these 3 guys, to use the well-worn phrase, you could throw a blanket over the 3 of them at the moment. They are virtually nose to tail as they attack the turn 7-8 right double right-hander combination and enter the very tight uphill left-hander of turn 9. So Valeriano, Masciuli, Lukasek, all in very, very close proximity.
And not only that, Stefanko is now on the back of this little battle of cars, this little gaggle of cars. And he's not going to hang around, is he? I mean, if he's not feeling too well today, he's going to want to get this over and done with as quick as possible.
Well, this is his time to shine. He's got to clear these guys. That's what the option tyres are for, and he needs to clear these guys to make this option stint work. There's no sense putting the quick tyre on and just cruising around at low speed. Now, that was very, very feisty attack and defence there between himself and Lukasek. But Stefanko is through. A little bit of wheel banging, tiny bit of contact, and Stefanko is through. Now, Masciuli potentially might end up slowing Valeriano down a little bit, which would work into Stefanko's favour if these two are fighting quite hard. Stefanko's last lap, a 1:35.8. The guys in front of him are running a full second slower. So he's got the pace to really attack. And as we said, he needs to.
That is, it looks like Fran Lopez and Francesconi are having a little bit of a battle out there as well, swapping positions a few times.
Yeah, almost side by side into the turn 5-6 combination. Of course, if you end up behind the other guy, you just lose him through there because the lack of downforce following in the other car's dirty air.
Okay,
Stefanko, you're all over Masciuli's gearbox now. Yeah, this is going to get pretty exciting pretty quickly now. Stefanko's got pace to burn here.
While you're watching that, I am keeping an eye on the leading gaggle of cars, but they're kind of holding station, so we'll see if Stefanko can do anything.
So Stefanko's used his options to get a lovely drive out of turn 14. He's not all over Masciuli, but he's very close, and it's not looking like he's going to pull anything off before turn 15. But if he gets a nice exit, he could get the double toe here. Can Stefanko hope to get both these guys down the main straight? He's going to want to. He's sticking to their slipstream like glue. Can he pull it off? 315 kph on his speedometer, and he's done a beautiful over and under move there. He's put himself beside Valeriano, now wide for a great exit. That's beautiful driving, fantastic exit on 2. He should get the top speed on them this run up to turn 4. Valeriano proving very feisty, moving all over the track. Stefanko not balked by that, moves on the inside. Valeriano fighting tooth and nail to hold this position. Stefanko clearly on a faster tyre, but Valeriano fighting like crazy. So Stefanko's going to be very... Whoa, Stefanko has a big tank slapping moment, and Lukasek is through. Lukasek regains the position. Stefanko had a massive tank slapper and lost a bit of speed, and Lukasek was through, so that was not on the script at all.
No, that all came from turn 4 as well, going for the move up the inside. As you said, Valeriano, I think it was, defending. He gave him a very tight line through turn 4, and the apex curve there, you can use it a little bit. If you go on it too much, you have to back out of it, which is what Stefanko had to do. And that then potentially created a little bit of driving angry, driving messy, unfortunately.
Yes, it was sort of on the limit of the rules because the car moved right, then the car moved left to take the corner, and if you're going to defend to the inside, you've got to take the corner from the inside, but and you're only allowed one move. But he's cleared Lukasek again, and hopefully he can consolidate this time and go out after these two guys.
Hopefully. Daniel Kish is opening up the gap at the front, just over 6 seconds on Jurni Simoncic. And as I mentioned a few laps ago, these guys are just holding station a little bit. Martin Gosby's dropped off a little bit from Mohamed Patel, but that could just be to give himself a little bit of a break from the dirty air and see if he can close that gap back up over the course of the next few laps and look after the tyres a little bit. Michi Hoyer is really trying to close the gap in on D'Alessandro. However, when Hoyer had a good opportunity to get a decent run out the final corner, got a little bit too sideways. I wouldn't say it's the tyres suffering, it was just a little bit too aggressive on the throttle, meaning he wasn't able to make any kind of move.
Yes, well, these guys are all pretty much 12 laps into this prime stint, including Hoyer, so the tyre performance should still be pretty darn good. Having a quick look at Hoyer now, 11 laps into his prime stint. So I know the guy who's going to be feeling a lot of anxiety at the moment, a lot of pressure at the moment, is Martin Stefanko, because he has really got to make this option stint work, or he's going to be falling out the back of this pack. He's only 4 laps into his option stint, so he's still got plenty of time to shine. He's right on Valeriano's gearbox as they exit the very tight turn 5. It's a wide corner, but a very, very sharp corner. Stefanko's got the run on him this time. He's gone outside. Valeriano is defended to the inside. They're side by side into turn 1. Stefanko has to do a lot of counter steering because there's a bit of side by side, a little bit of wheel banging when the cars were side by side. Nothing illegal. And Stefanko is going to attack again into turn 4. Valeriano goes right. Now this time Stefanko makes him stay right. Stefanko might get the better drive off the exit, except there's a car in front of him.
That was a little bit cheeky from Valeriano. He took a much tighter exit out of that corner to defend Stefanko. I wouldn't necessarily say that that was illegal, but it definitely nearly ended up with Stefanko running into the back of him. Cheeky, but a good defensive move, I reckon.
Yes, well, he read the move that was coming. Stefanko had a less acute line into 4, so he was going to have the better drive out of 4. So Valeriano just simply put his car where Stefanko wanted to go, which you're perfectly allowed to do on throttle coming out of a corner.
Yep. Now, the viewers may have noticed a few corners ago that Florian Becker dropped a couple of places. I went and had a look back at that. He ran a little bit wide at turn 14 and lost a couple of positions. Nothing too dramatic for him though. I mean, our main focus at the moment is on Stefanko, because if he can make that move on Valeriano, which is lining him up for again down towards the final corner, it's exciting to know what else he's going to be able to do. Is he going to be able to catch up to Masciuli? Is he going to be able to catch up to Michi Hoyer? But he's on for another attack now towards turn 1, and I think he needs to get the move done into turn 1. He is going to go for the inside line, and I think he's going to attack this as hard as he possibly can. He does. He brakes nice and late, hugs the apex beautifully, move done, and that could actually put Valeriano under attack from Lukasek as well.
Yeah, that was a copybook move. I think last time he tried to do it around the outside, which you can do if you can keep yourself positioned nicely for the inside of turn 2, but that little bit of wheel banging in between times just put his car sideways and cost him momentum. So nicely done by Martin Stefanko. And while all that action's been occurring, of course, Eros Masciuli has had the chance to just drive that little bit further up the road and is just about 3 seconds away, so Stefanko can see him. Masciuli is on the prime tyre as well, and lapping it with similar lap times, actually. I'm going to just double check Masculi's laps on this stint. Masculi's running mid 135s. Stefanko hasn't been going much quicker than that, but Stefanko's been battling people. So in clear air, we might see Stefanko go a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I could see him catching up to Masciuli quite quickly, being on the option tyres now and having that clear air, as you mentioned. I mean, overall, though, I mean, you'd have to say option tyres are quicker than primes, but in comparison to Daniel Kish, Martin Stefanko has lost around about, what, 5-6 seconds? So that's how much it's cost him having to fight his way through that little bit of traffic.
Yeah, indeed, and that's the tricky thing. You can put a strategy together that mathematically looks great, but you've just got to remember, does it involve passing people? Have you got to pit and then repass people? Because that'll always cost you a lot of time and a lot of tyre wear. But he's through now, and he's Stefanko last time round did a PB, a 134.9.
Just having a look at Christoph Schulze, he's all over the back of Jos Araneda, and Schulze's on the option tyres, Jos Araneda on the primes, and Schulze, as you mentioned earlier on, Dave, had a great racing ace yesterday. He's going side by side. Oh, he just managed to back out of that in time, because Araneda suddenly made that corner a little bit tighter and a little bit scarier than Schulze really wanted it to be.
Yes, Stefanko going around about 1 full second quicker now that he's in clear air and not fighting for position. So he should be able to, over the next 2 to 3 laps, jump closer onto the back of Eros Masciuli. That gap now is in fact down to 2 seconds as a result of that last lap of Stefanko's. So Patel's still very close to Simoncic, but seemingly at the moment not attacking, but driving fast, pushing the car, pushing everything to the limit, but just still holding a position in P3.
Yeah, it's an interesting race for these guys at the moment, Simoncic, Patel, Gosby. I can imagine Gosby's going to be quite frustrated at the moment. He's been in this position so many times this season, following Patel, following Simoncic, following the likes of Hoyer, stuck in the traffic. I believe Schulze's attacking Araneda again.
Well, he is indeed, and he's got him. Well, seems to have him on the exit of turn 2. No, massive side-by-side battle through turn 1 and turn 2. These guys are fighting hammer and tongs. A lot of moving around on the track there, but with both these guys are pretty feisty. Not really able to decide which side of the track they want to use on the run up to 4. And my oh my, they are really on top of each other as they go through 5, 6. You can't be any closer than that. Humanly not possible because of the downforce and the lack of downforce with the dirty air. But yeah, indeed they're having an incredible fight. So Gosby, Patel, Simoncic are really only separated by 2 seconds on track. Here we are as they finish lap 32. So these 3 guys are in very close proximity, but no one seems to be able to gain an edge on the other at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned a few laps ago that Patel could be into that phase of, I'm just going to follow you now, and I'm going to go longer. But I wouldn't be surprised if Simoncic is wise to that kind of ploy, and Simoncic is going to be thinking, right, I'm going to go longer than you. The problem is whether they put enough fuel in to do that. I think Gosby's got to be the one that tries to do something different, going either even further than both of these guys, or going for attempting an undercut on potentially the option tyre. If he goes prime tyre, full fuel, he's going to lose time. If he goes option tyre, he may have a small opportunity to gain on these guys and jump ahead of them.
Yeah, that's certainly a play that he could make. He would have had to decide that before the last pit stop and take on enough fuel to allow that to play out. 1.5 seconds now between Stefanko and Masciuli. Not massive difference in lap time at the moment between the two. It seems that Stefanko might have just taken a whole lot out of his out of his options with that personal best lap.
Dave, Christoph Schulze about to lose a position. He got a little bit too sideways. Oh, I think that'll be a little bit of a chat afterwards between two drivers there. Yeah, Schulze got a little bit too sideways around turn 7 and 8. That allowed James Sadler to have a run on him. A little bit of contact between the two, though.
Yeah, hopefully they're both able to continue on undamaged.
Lukaszek into the pits. Now we know that he went onto the prime tyre quite early, so he's getting rid of them now on the end of lap 35. I'll update you as to what tyres he's going to go on to. It's going to be another set of the primes.
Yes, he did 12 laps on options, 21 on primes, and about to start stint 3.
Now, Stefanko has managed to close the gap up to Reilly to around about a second now, which means that Stefanko is also only 5 seconds behind his teammate, which I think if Stefanko is going to do another option stint, I think he's got an opportunity of fighting for 6th place by the end of this race.
Yeah, no, indeed he does, because if he can clear Masculi, he's going to be in a straight fight with Hoyer for P6. I can hear car crashing noises somewhere. Don't know where that was. I can't see any changes on the...
Yeah, it's Timo Valkynovi. He's off the track with no front wing. His race is over.
Okay, we're going to see a replay of that incident for you.
Oh, that's an odd one. He just seemed to go straight at turn 2 and completely missed the corner and into the barrier.
Yeah, that looks like he's just completely lost control of the vehicle. There's been a technical issue at home, I would say. Perhaps a crash. The simulation has crashed the desktop or...
While that's happened, though, Daniel Kish has made his pit stop. He's gone for another set of prime tyres, has not repaired the damage to his front wing, so was obviously feeling very comfortable with how his car was handling. He's going to come back out on track in 9th place, just ahead of John-Eric Saxon, who still hasn't ran the option tyre yet.
Well, that's interesting. Kiss is still in the net lead then, because he's within 17 seconds of the leader on track, which is Simoncic. Can Hoyer unfurl some fantastic laps over the next lap or two to try to put himself at least closer?
Well, it'll be interesting to see whether Daniel Kish is going to gain time on Simoncic now, or whether he's going to lose time. Obviously, Kish was showing a faster race pace at the moment anyway. It's going to be interesting to see just how much further Simoncic and Patel may go. I mean, is it possible that Kish has pitted that little bit earlier to try and tempt Simoncic into another pit stop earlier than he would have wanted to?
Yeah, well, it's 21 laps, isn't it? We're 21 laps from home. So, yeah, Hoyer's best chance is to go another couple of laps and get himself into a prime stint, an option stint, pardon me, and have pace on Kiss. Yeah, will Patel cover him? Good spot. Will Patel endeavour to cover Kiss?
Oh, Florian Becker off track, turn 14. It's no, sorry, it's not turn 14. Well, it might be actually. I'm watching
it is, yeah.
Now, yeah, turn 14.
14.
He's struggled there quite a bit today, unfortunately, and it looks like he's just ran a little bit wide and got it into the kitty litter once again. A frustrating race for Becker.
Okay, we're going to see a replay of that on the broadcast now. That's Florian Becker entering turn 14, braking zone for turn 14. No particular problems there, but you just get it half a car's width too wide there, and you're off the rubbered line, and you've got all the grip gone at a moment when you badly need all that grip there. You're decelerating the car from about 270 kilometres an hour down to about 115 kilometres an hour for the corner. So not an easy one, and it's caught Florian Becker out on this occasion.
Daniel Kish's pace at the moment on these prime tyres is phenomenal. I know he's only just put them on, but the fact that he's on new tyres, heavy fuel, he's doing faster sectors than Simoncic and Patel. Daniel Kish is absolutely flying, and if he can keep this up, we're going to be hopefully having a chat with him at the end of this race.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what his first full lap time is. Masculi into the pits. So that, of course, frees Stefanko. And Stefanko's got clear air in front of him now, so he should be able to make full use of what's left of his option tyres. Masculi has left the pits on prime tyres, so he's elected for primes for his final run home. 20 laps to complete.
Well, looking back up at the front now, we've got Yurni Simičić and Patel still circulating, and I mean, I'm riding on board with Patel, and it does look like he's trying to pick up the pace a little bit now. I mean, Kish with his heavier fuel did struggle a little bit in the final sector on his previous lap, but he's still more than, what, 5, 6, maybe 7 seconds ahead in a net situation on Simičić and Patel. I mean, I want to see what these guys are going to do. I want to see if anyone's going to be able to do something a little bit different to try and make any gains. I mean, these guys are so closely matched on pace that it's very difficult for them to make any move on track at the moment.
Yes, well, you'd just throw. You'd have to.
Here we go, Gosby into the pits. He's doing something different.
Ah, there you go. Will he go for the option? Is he too far out from home to go from the option? I think he is. I think it's too far for an option stint.
I'd be tempted to agree with you, and he would agree with us as well. It does look like it's going to be another set of the primes.
Yep, he's gone primes.
Now, when he comes out of the pits, he could be quite close to Francesconi. Where is No, Francesconi's into the pits. So Gosby's going to come out in 9th place. He's got plenty of clear air ahead of him, though, to see if he can maximise his brand new tyres.
So Simičić, Patel, D'Alessandro all needing to pit.
Araneda, Masciuli side by side into turn 1, and they've also got James Sadler right behind them. He'll be hoping for a little bit of contact, and there is the contact. A
bit more wheel banging.
Yep. James will be sat there going, go on guys, carry on doing that, give me an opportunity. But this is a risky situation now for James, because if the car ahead of him goes for an attack, James has got to be aware that that guy might not know that he's there trying to attack as well. Well, again, very feisty though. Jos Araneda ever so close to the back of Eros Masciuli, but as we've already mentioned, the dirty air so powerful through those particular corners that Araneda was having to make sure he didn't take too much exit curve. If you do that there's only one way you're going to go, and that is backwards. Oh, as he nearly does it on the exit of turn 8 as well. So Araneda very feisty at the moment. Sadler though, a lot more aggressive on his brakes, closed up a lot in the braking zone there.
Simičić pitting from the lead. I'll let you know what and Patel and D'Alessandro, and Hoyer, so all 4 pitting. All 4 of them pitting in formation. Stefanko continuing on. And Hoyer having to really steer quite aggressively to pop his car into the pit spot ahead of, I think it was Patel in front of him. Hoyer has taken the option tyre, so Hoyer has thrown the dice. Kiss on prime, Simičić on prime, Patel on options. 17 laps out, so we've got some tyre variables coming into play, and he is going to be all over Simičić like a cheap suit over the next few laps before these option tyres start to sort of go away.
Okay, James Sadler pitted, and Fran Lopez came out of the pits as well. We're side by side with Lukaszek. They're battling. Let's see, Lopez has gone for the option tyre as well. So a few drivers thinking 16 laps, yeah, can do that on the options quite comfortably. Daniel Kish, though, still the net leader. Where's Martin Stefanko? Oh, I'll tell you what, Lopez and Lukaszek side by side through. Oh, that's contact between the two of them. But how they've managed to keep going. Oh, Lukaszek pushed out wide a little bit. I'm surprised that didn't end up in absolute carnage there. But yeah, Stefanko, where's he going to come out? When he makes his pit stop, he's going to be behind his teammate by about 6 seconds.
Yeah, indeed. Well, certainly certainly 4 anyway, 4 seconds behind Hoyer.
Patel's gaining on Simoncic as Stefanko is into the pits, and I'm not surprised that Patel's gone for the option tyre here. You know, if he wasn't able to close the gap and gain on the primes, then yeah, the options are what he had to do. Here he goes then. He's got a good run. Simoncic goes as defensive as physically possible, but can Patel hold it all the way around the outside? He's going to have the inside line. He's got the softer tyre. Simoncic squeezes him a little bit. Now they both run a little bit wide, but that's Patel up into second.
Oh, it's not over yet. Simoncic is virtually side by side on the run up to 4. No, Patel managed to out-drag him on those option tyres. And yet, masterstroke from Patel, he realised that he had to go the options. So, but what he's got to do now, he's got to complete 16 laps on these options. And so now he's in front and he's in clear air. He's going to have to manage these tyres, or in about 8-9 laps time, they're going to start to go away from him, and Simoncic is going to have the upper hand. So I think these two guys are going to be absolutely joined in battle from here until the checkered flag.
Well, the interesting thing as well is that Michele D'Alessandro pitted for the option tyres, so he's potentially going to be catching up to Martin Gosby now. Michi Hoyer, he's on options, so although Stefanko's gone for options, that gap may not close at all. But yeah, we could have one hell of a fight here between Simoncic, Gosby, D'Alessandro and Hoyer, because Hoyer's not that far behind D'Alessandro.
And D'Alessandro on brand new options as well. But it's certainly, there's a lot to fight for, because these guys, there's only a few seconds between them and the podium, with 16 laps left to run. And John-Eric Saxon is having some time in the sun there. We're running a close second place at the moment to Daniel Kiss, but John-Eric Saxon is here having done 41 laps on 2 prime stints. He's yet to run the options, so John might be going to do a cheeky little splash and dash and grab some option tyres in a relatively light fuel load. His first stint was a 21-lap stint. He's done 20 laps on these, so it would probably make sense for him to pit this time round for a sprint home on the option tyre. He'll only need to do 14 laps.
Yeah, I mean, when Saxon pits, he's going to come out around Jos Araneda and Giordano Valeriano, probably right in between the two of them, to be honest. But he's got a fantastic opportunity of being quick at the end of this race. Let's see, Mohamed Patel, he's not really pulling away from Simoncic too much at the moment. But I'm very excited to see what D'Alessandro has got, because throughout the course of this race, he's kind of been a little bit of a dark horse. He's been hiding in the shadows, waiting to see how this race pans out, and he's in a fantastic situation now.
Well, he's got the quick tyre. Gosby in front of him's got the slower tyre, but the more durable tyre. And these boys are only 6-7 seconds behind our leader, Daniel Kiss. Saxon pitting now, so we were bang on the money on that one. Now, if Saxon comes back out in 9th place with his options, he's had a fairly good afternoon, really.
Yeah, definitely has. Well, Jos Araneda is heading around the final turn now, as Martin Stefanko has posted the fastest lap of the race. So as John-Eric Saxon...
Lopez and Valeriano, big attack here. Lopez is trying to keep the slipstream. They're like cyclists here, trying to break the toe. Lopez goes outside, Valeriano goes inside, but Valeriano then drifts quite wide at the apex, resulting in a tiny bit of contact. Lopez gets a better line into 2, should get a nice drive out of 2, and this isn't over yet. Lopez is going to probably be able to attack Valeriano into the braking zone for turn 4. And does exactly that, big move down the inside, and that was a bit of a don't argue, a bit of a nudge, wink, don't argue there as they exited turn 4. Lopez said, "Yes, Mr. Valeriano, I'll overlook that little bit of contact at the turn 1-2 complex, but this is what I've got to say about it." So Lopez is through.
I think that was a case of one driver giving it, yeah, what a move, and the other one giving it, what are you doing? For us, though, it's like, well, it's all just excitement. Fran Lopez, though, is on the move now, and going to try and gain on Araneda. John-Eric Saxon did come out right behind Masciuli, and he's closing on Masciuli, who's on the prime tyre, and John-Eric Saxon on the option. Michi Hoyer, though, he's ever so close to the back of D'Alessandro, and D'Alessandro has now closed up that gap to Martin Gosby, although on the straights, Gosby seems to be a little bit quicker.
Ah, no. Araneda into the pits.
Okay, so we're going to have a quick look at a replay of John-Eric Saxon having a little bit of a contact with another car there, damaging his front wing as well, unfortunately, but he's still on an attack. He's still, at the moment, trying to attack Fran Lopez.
Yeah, he's right on the back of Lopez through the turn 1, turn 2 sector. So it doesn't seem to have slowed him down much. He's lost the end plate and the airfoil on the right-hand side of his front wing. But with his option tyres and only 13 laps to run, that's not going to worry him too much. He can just move his brake bias rearwards a little bit and attack these tyres and not worry about it.
Well, here's some interesting information. While we're watching all the action kicking off and looking at what tyres people are on, the gap between Daniel Kish and Mohamed Patel was about 7 seconds. It's now 3.5 seconds with, 12 laps remaining in this race. I wouldn't be surprised if Patel has an opportunity to take the victory here. But would he be a little bit heartless taking a victory off his teammate, who you could say has potentially fully deserved it? It's be a topic for discussion, but I think Kish will fight it as hard as he can. He's got an opportunity of taking the win.
Yeah, well, Patel's previous lap was a personal best, a mid 134. That time round was a 134.8. Daniel Kiss is running a 135.3. So you're talking about 3/4 of a second per lap. Lap time difference between them at the moment. So is that about 5-6 laps? Should draw them close to each other. But Kiss at that stage is going to be on a very nice set of primes, and Patel is going to be on a fairly hard-worked set of options. So it's still going to be nip and tuck. We'll see if there's team orders. Florian Becker has just pitted and leaving the pit lane now on option tyres.
Yes, it's been a difficult race for Florian Becker, so I'm not surprised he wants to end the race on a nice, grippy set of the option tyre. And talking about option tyres, Michi Hoyer, D'Alessandro, they're still there trying to close this gap on Martin Gosby. The problem they've got is that crossover point of the options being better than the primes, or the crossover point of the options not being better than the primes, is coming quite quickly. So they need to make moves fast. They can't afford to get held up for too long, and it's taken them a fair few laps just to close the gap on Gosby. Now they need to make moves. They need to make the attacks, and the gap between Kish and Patel down to 2.7 seconds.
Well, the Gosby, D'Alessandro, Hoyer group is now covered by 1.5 seconds, whereas a couple of laps back it was 2 seconds. So these guys are compressing into a smaller and smaller piece of real estate as we enter the final 11 laps of this Formula Sim Racing Championship event from Sepang, Malaysia. 1 second. There was a 1 second gap covering these three drivers. So Gosby is going to be feeling them breathing down the back of his neck. Oh yes, big fight on at the moment. Araneda attacking Sadler into turn 15, the final corner, and seems to pull the move off. Sadler back behind Araneda now, but coming back at him again and seeming to have perhaps the edge in top speed. Arenade's moving right, Sadler's going left. And they're side by side through turn 1. Bit of wheel banging. Tell you what, if you're a souvenir hunter, this would be the turn 1, turn 2, you'd be picking up a lot of carbon fibre this weekend, I think.
Yeah.
And Aaron Sadler has made it back through. I think Sadler's running a bit less wing than Araneda. So he got him there with a very nice, aggressive, but good move through turn 1, turn 2. But Araneda has not retired from the fray. Araneda wants it back again.
Well, the gaps up at the front between Hoyer, D'Alessandro, Gosby, not really closing anymore. D'Alessandro's had a couple of laps now being very close to Gosby, but he just hasn't got enough in the car to attack. Gosby's exit at the final corner is just way too strong for Michele D'Alessandro. I mean, D'Alessandro's good on the brakes into turn one, closes the gap up nicely, but for the rest of the lap, he's pretty much just stuck. Gap between Patel and Kish down to 2.2 seconds.
Now, I know we're 10 laps out from the end of this race, but you've got to hand it to Mohammed Patel. This is the way you win Drivers' Championships, isn't it? You have a bad day by coming fourth in qualifying, but you keep it clean, make some interesting strategic choices for the final stint, and potentially bring it home in second place. And if that's a bad day, that's how you win championships.
Yeah, that is definitely true. I mean, I can't imagine there being a team order telling Kish to move out of the way and let Patel through, but Patel is quick enough at the moment to simply be able to make the move, I reckon.
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of goodwill too between these guys. When we interviewed Mohammed Patel following his win in Magny Cours 2 weeks ago, one of the things he said, and he said it more than once, is that he's just really looking forward for Daniel coming out and getting some victories as well, because Daniel's part of the team, and these guys, they all put a lot of work in on the setup, getting the car perfect to race. So I think Mohammed Patel was quite looking forward to Daniel having his first victory of 2017.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, talk about it a little bit. I know we've got a couple of battles going on out on track that we're trying to keep an eye on. John Eric Saxon trying to catch up to Fran Lopez, but also this battle between Gosby and D'Alessandro. But, I mean, let's say, for example, Patel catches up to Kish and goes, you know what, I'm not going to pass you. I'm going to let you take the win. Would that take it away, the specialness of the victory? Would it take it away from Kish? I don't think it would. Yeah,
and you know what? I don't. If that was his intention, I don't think he would make it obvious. That obvious. So, but I think they're going to race. I mean, Mohammed Patel and Peter Briac had an incredible season 2 years ago when Briac took the title, and those two were going at each other lap after lap for the whole of the season. Without any of them asking for any quarter. And I don't think Daniel Kiss is the kind of guy that wants to be handed a win.
No, I don't
think
he
wants to earn it on merit.
I mean, I do think it'd take it away from Daniel a little bit if Patel sort of did back off and allow him to take the victory. I mean, Kish would want to earn it on his own. But at the same time, I mean, a win is a win. I mean, Patel's got to make sure that his tyres get to the end. And, I mean, riding on board with Yerny Simoncic is pushing hard because he knows that potentially Patel's tyres could go off. And if they do go off, they could go off a lot very quickly.
Well, that's the other side of this, isn't it? I mean, Patel signed up for a very long final stint on these options. He used them to great effect clearing Yerny Simoncic. But the moment he cleared Journey, he would have known he has to go into conservation mode, because I think it was going to be a 20-lap stint that Mohammed Patel has to do on these options.
17, I think it was. I'll quickly check.
Well, he's done 9 already, and we got another 8 to go. So yeah, 17.
But I mean, 17 laps pushing hard on the tyres. It's a push for these tyres. I think the most we've seen over the course of the weekend on a set of options has been 17 laps. And that was, I mentioned it earlier, yesterday Sander Callas did it, but he was able to look after his tyres while he was doing that.
Yeah, he wasn't having to fight anybody. He was able to just dictate his own pace.
And interestingly as well, I mean, D'Alessandro, he's spent so long behind Martin Gosby that I think his tyres have now got to a point where they've said, you know what, we can't follow him this quick because Gosby's opening up the gap to D'Alessandro now. And this is where we need to keep an eye on Simoncic as to whether he's able to close that gap in on Patel at all.
Yeah, it's back out to 2.5 seconds now. The length of track that these three drivers, Gosby, D'Alessandro and Hoyer, are taking up. So, whereas they did compress down to about 1.3 seconds total gap between them, it's now extending out a little bit again. And yeah, Gosby's primes are coming into their own. He's got low fuel. He's got the primes working well, and the option tyres have just gone away a little bit as they do. So Stefanko looking pretty safe in 6th place at the moment with 11 seconds gap behind him to Eros Masculi. And you know what? I don't think Martin would be that unhappy with 7th today, because he wasn't feeling good on the track. He hadn't prepared very well. He wasn't feeling all that chipper in terms of health, etc. So to pull out 7th place, that would be a pretty acceptable result for him.
Yeah, I mean, after his grid drop penalty after qualifying, was it 15th place? I think it was he started. So he's done quite well to get back into this race. Just to update you as well, Jos Araneda is very close to the back of James Sadler. Sadler going defensive down into turn 1, but I don't think Jos Araneda has got the speed to make the move. No, tucks in behind Sadler, gives him a little bit of a nudge as well, going for a switchback, but the switchback doesn't really work, as Jos Araneda shows. Gets a little bit too sideways, and that's that attempt over. Florian Becker is DNF.
Yeah, that's, I dare say that Peter will show us a replay of that one. And coming down the pit straight into turn 1, big brake locked up again. It almost looked to me like he might have had a brake disc failure. I'm just going to look at that in slow motion again. Or he's braking hard, and I think he might have completely missed he might have just completely missed the braking marker, because it was around about 50 metres where he put the brakes on. Yeah, just very late on the brakes, locked up the fronts big time. So terrible shame. Big afternoon for Florian Becker, and one that hasn't delivered quite what he would have liked, but some fantastic racing.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier on, it's been a difficult race for Florian Becker. To be honest, I think it's been a difficult race. Looks like Jos Araneda and Sadler going for another battle down the start finish straight. Araneda tried going around the outside on the previous lap. James Sadler saying, you're not having the inside line, my friend, you're going to have to go all the way around the outside. And Araneda is going to try it, but he runs a little bit too wide, and again a little bit too aggressive on the throttle. Bit of contact between the two.
Oh
That's not going to end well.
The wheels got locked together.
And they both managed to stay on the track just. That could have ended up sheer disaster, but the battle continues into turn 4 with Sadler holding on. Okay, it's a battle for 15th place.
I think Arenade's through by virtue of Sadler. Yep, Araneda got the better exit out of 4. Sadler had a little bit of a tank slap, a bit of an oversteer moment, and Araneda just got that better drive out of 4. Let's see if Sadler can come back at him. I think Arenade's running a bit more wing and might be quicker through sector 2 here. If he can pull enough of a gap so that Sadler can't attack him on the 2 long straights, he might be in the clear. But it's been certainly an absolute punch-up this afternoon between these two guys for this entire stint. Very entertaining. Meanwhile, by the way, Mohammed Patel has closed his down to 1 second.
Well, he got down to 0.9 of a second, but yeah, he's definitely within range now, but he's also going to be affected by dirty air, and having done a fair few laps now in the clean air, getting back into that dirty air is going to be horrible for him. I mean, you mentioned, Dave, that those guys a bit further down the field have been having a bit of a punch-up today, and I was about to mention a little while ago that it's been a tough race for Florian Becker, but it's been a tough race on all of the drivers. If we remember back to the last WC race, and Michi Hoyer saying about how exhausting the race was and how sweaty he got, this is a track that is punishing on a driver. Yeah, you get a bit of a breather down the back straight and down the start finish, but after that, it's hell for leather every lap for 56 laps. It's a hot sunny day. These drivers are going to be absolutely exhausted after this race. So for us to be in lap 52, 16 of the 18 drivers still running, with them all on the lead lap as well, all still fighting each other for every position they can get. It's an absolutely fantastic race. Question now is Patel going to be able to steal the victory from his teammate?
Well, I think he's certainly going for it. Patel's giving it everything he's got. It's still about a second between them. Simičić at 2.1 seconds to the rear of Patel. Gosby 2.5 seconds to the rear of Simičić. D'Alessandro has got Hoyer starting to get fairly close again. It's less than a second. It's about 0.8 of a second between the two. Now Hoyer's running out of laps. He's got 4 laps left if he wants to get something done. And it's fantastic qualifying by Michi to put.
Just got you off, Dave. Jos Almeida now making a move on Christoph Schulze around the final corner. They're running side by side up towards turn 1. No DRS on these cars, so it's a straight out drag race into turn 1 as Schulze tucks in for the slipstream. Going to try going around the outside. We are obviously keeping an eye on the battle up at the front though, but it's always good to see a bit of wheel-to-wheel racing, and these guys are getting ever so close. But a lovely move by Jos Almeida, and once again the rear end of his car steps out sideways as though to give a little bit of a wave to the driver. He's just passed Schulze though with a good top speed, attacking back into turn 4. Not quite able to make the move. A little bit of contact. That's Schulze off the track, but I think he's going to be safe from attack from behind.
Well, Arenado's had a dynamic couple of laps, hasn't he? He got Sadler last time round. He got Schulze this time round, and that's how hard and how incredibly close fought these duels are for 14th place in Formula Sim Racing World Championship.
I mean, one thing I know for some drivers as well, I mean, obviously everybody wants to win, everybody wants to be in the points, but sometimes having a battle outside of the points, you can come away from a race feeling exhilarated because you've had a fun race. It's been enjoyable, it's been entertaining for you. So even though it's not for any points, if those guys are enjoying their race, then that's great stuff. I just want to quickly touch on Michi Hoyer though. I think he's probably going to be one of the most frustrated drivers out there at the end of this race. He was battling with Daniel Kish for the lead of this race. Contact between the two of them hurt him more than anybody else. And it could have been a Hoyer, Kish, Patel fight for the lead in these closing laps.
Very true. Very true. I mean, Michi had the pace to put it on pole, and it was an emphatic pole in the end, 0.285 of a second. He ran the strategy right. He ran his first stint long enough so that nobody could overcut him when he pitted. So he entered the pits in the lead of that group, but it just got a bit messy on the exit of the pits after that first stint, and from there on his race has been compromised. So
just to let you know, John-Eric Saxon getting ever so close to the back of Fran Lopez. These guys have been close for a while, but John-Eric Saxon really trying to push the boat out now with only a couple of laps remaining. But also, Patella's got to be wary now. He's still a second behind Daniel Kish, but Simičić has now brought the gap down to, what, 3.5 seconds to the leader? So he's only 2.5 seconds behind Patel. He may still be able to get something out of this if he can have a phenomenal final couple of laps. Saxon, though, he's close enough to make the move on this occasion. If he's got the straight line speed, Fran Lopez, he's trying to make his car part of the barrier.
They'll be picking up bottle tops and crisp packets that close to the pit wall.
Side by side, then.
Saxon's got him. Feisty move. Can he consolidate it with the exit at 2? Feisty move from John-Eric Saxon. Hats off to that man for 9th place, and that's on the 55th lap of this 56 lap Grand Prix.
It's not over.
Yeah, we have got racing down to the wire. Lopez is Lopez is not giving up.
I'm just informed that we had a spinner. I couldn't hear who it was you said spun there, Peter. Martin Stefanko has had a bit of a spin and cost himself a little bit of lap time. I believe Peter's going to show a quick replay on that one. So while he does that, I think me and Dave are going to keep an eye on what's happening out on track. I mean, we're about to be into the last lap of the race, Dave. I'm tempted to say the top 3 are going to finish in the positions they're in at the moment.
Yes, well, the gaps aren't really close enough for anybody to make any jumps with 1 lap to go. So we're seeing Daniel Kiss commence the 56th lap of this Grand Prix with 1.5 seconds to Mohamed Patel. I think Mohamed Patel is just going to probably be happy to take 2nd place and happy that the bloke who beat him was from the same team. So that's a pretty positive day. Simičić, after a great drive, sitting in 3rd. Gosby, still a little bit far back. Hoyer is not going to be able to attack D'Alessandro.
Araneda, we talked about him, you said a couple of laps ago, Dave, he's been feisty. He's about to make another pass. He's attacking the back of Michael Francesconi down into the final corner. Side by side they go. Araneda looking for a switchback. He's got a lovely run out of the final corner. However, Francesconi's exit was much better. So now they're going to go nose to tail towards turn 1, side by side into turn 1. Is Araneda going to be able to make another fantastic move? No.
We've got a bit of wheel banging. We've got
It turned in a little too soon.
Araneda went really aggressively for to sort of close off the angle for turn 2 and ended up on the grass. But my oh my, what a final stint Jos Araneda's having.
Just going to cut you off there, sorry Dave, because Daniel Kish is coming around the final corner for the final time. He's going to take the victory, but Reilly is right on the back of Mohammed Patel. There's less than half a second between them. So Daniel Kish takes the victory. Mohammed Patel does take second place and Simic third. Oh, I don't think Simic will be pleased about that one. Patel, though, fantastic result for him. Gosby comes home in 4th. De Alessandro takes 5th place. Hoyer takes a frustrating 6th. Martin Stefanko, he's going to cross the line in 7th place. And then we've got Eros Masciuli not too far behind him. John-Eric Saxon, I think he's had a fantastic drive today to take home 9th place with Fran Lopez not too far behind him in 10th place. Valeriano now crossing the line in 11th and Lukashek in 12th. Michael Francesconi and Jos Araneda, though, they are still fighting it out.
It is still game on. Francesconi lost traction on the exit 9, which Araneda managed to get beside him. They had more wheel banging action into 10, so it is still not over between these guys. Araneda, big move up the inside for turn 15, and I think Araneda's going to have this. My goodness, what an incredible final 5 and 6 laps from that was from Araneda.
James Sadler and Christoph go across the line very close to each other as well to round out the final drivers. But what a race we've had here today. That has been very, very interesting indeed.
Yeah, incredible drama. Amazing spectacle between these guys.
Now, hopefully we'll be able to have a little bit of a chat with Daniel Kish, Mohammed Patel and Reilly Simic. I mean, it will be interesting to see what their thoughts are about how that race went about. Maybe even be able to get a comment from Daniel Kish about I was going to say a little bit of contact with Michi Hoyer. It turned out to be major contact with Michi Hoyer. Maybe to get a view on that as well. But what a race! I mean, okay, we may not have seen overtakes on every single lap all the way through the race, but definitely high tension, high pressure. A great way to end this part of the season as we'll be heading into the summer break. Now we have about a 6-week break before the next race, which I think all of the media team, the admins, the commentators, the drivers could do with that little bit of a break and refocus and get ready for the second half of the season.
Yes, and for the viewers, our next time out is going to be in the Belgian Grand Prix, Spa-Francorchamps, and I think that's second half of August. If I'm correct, I seem to have put my diary down.
20th of August, I think I was told earlier on today. We'll get that confirmed before we go off air. I believe actually I do have I have the information now. It would be good for me to check that. Yeah, the next race will be from Spa on the 20th of August, and we'll confirm those details on screen in a little while. So we wait to see if Daniel Kish, Mohammed Patel and Reilly Simic are going to come and join us for a little bit of a chat.
Yeah, Daniel Kish and Mohammed Patel are both in the ready for interview room.
Okay, good stuff. Dave, I shall let you have a quick chat with Daniel Kish.
Well, welcome, guys. First of all, Daniel, congratulations on the win. Fantastic racing. And how did you feel it was going to go when you coming into this race?
Hello, guys. First of all, thank you, and I would like to say sorry to Michi. I don't know what happened between the two of us. I felt that the first one was racing incident, definitely, but after the pit stop, I don't know. I will have to take a look at it again. So that's a tough one. Michi's quality time really surprised me. It was insane. But then in the first stint I felt that I was faster. So when I saw that he didn't pit on lap 16, I removed fuel. So I wanted to do a shorter second stint to have a chance at undercutting him. And then yeah, we collided at turn 2. I don't know whose fault was that. I will have to take a look. Sorry for him that he spun, but I'm really happy to take the win, and I'm happy that Mo was able to overtake Järna at the end, so we got a 1-2.
Yeah, no, fantastic result from the team. And I think when we interviewed Mohammed Patel after Magny Cours, and he was, very happy to take the win, but he was also saying he was looking forward to you getting up the front and getting a win or two as well, because you've been working really, really hard as a team on setups and everything. So it must be a very, very, very pleasing moment for the two of you. So congratulations on the win. I did rewind and saw that incident and turn 2, and we'll see what you guys think about it. To me, personally, it didn't look like it was anyone in particular's fault more than anyone else's. But we'll let you guys sort all that out. But yeah, fantastic race. Did you feel that Mo was going to be able to threaten you in that final stint on the options?
For a few laps, yes. So basically, in our test race, we had the same scenario. So I was ahead. He was right behind me on options as well, with the same strategy. And then he couldn't pass me in the test race either. So I was hoping that even if he catches me, he wouldn't be able to make a move. But luckily, his tires gave up before he caught me, so I just had to cruise in.
Well, congratulations really on a fantastic win. You capitalised on every opportunity, and sounds like you thought on your feet with strategy, etc., and brought it home. So a fantastic World Championship win, Daniel, and well done.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of questions for Daniel, if that's all right.
Sure.
Well done, Daniel. A very exciting race from yourself. There was a couple of really, I think, key features of your race. You mentioned about the collisions with Michi Hoyer. We all saw it. Obviously, Dave's mentioned about it as well. What I was interested by, though, was how both yourself and Michi Hoyer responded to mainly that first contact, because you had a bit of a gap to the guys behind, and as soon as that happened, you opened that gap up nicely. And even though you had a little bit of damage on the car, you were able to open up I think it was about a 7-8 second gap on those guys behind. So how was the car feeling with that little bit of damage on the front end, and how comfortable were you while opening up that gap?
Well, luckily I didn't have any damage, so even if I had damage, it must have been just visual damage. The car felt fine, so I was lucky to get away with both collisions with 0 damage. So yeah, the car felt fine. I knew that I had to push in the second stint to create a gap, because I knew that it was going to be a shorter stint, and then I would struggle a bit in the last stint because I would take more fuel. So yeah, that's why I had to push a lot in the second stint. And then I was struggling a bit in the last stint because the car was a bit too heavy for me. So that's why my pace dropped a bit compared to the second stint, but luckily it was enough.
Okay, my last question for you is, during that final stint, as you get into the last sort of 5, 6, 7 laps, your teammate Mohammed Patel is closing that gap. Are you sat there at that point thinking, yeah, good stuff, we got a 1-2, or are you thinking, Mo, slow down a bit, mate, leave me alone, I want this one?
I just told him that I hope that his tires will give up soon. That's all. That's all I told him.
I like it. Good stuff. Well done, Daniel. Fantastic to have you not only on the podium, but also having taken the victory. Great stuff. We'll have a quick chat with Mohammed Patel. I've got one question I want to get in for Mohammed Patel, and that is, what happened at the end? You had a comfortable 2-second gap to Yerny Simoncic, and then all of a sudden on the last lap, it's down to half a second. Were you teasing him, or were the tyres gone?
I probably just overpushed a bit in the start of the final stint. Partly down to what Danny said, to expand on what he just said. Pretty much, I knew I had to catch Danny as soon as possible. It was like a tough task. The moment I overtook him, Danny told me to slow down, leave him alone. But I told him I'm not going to get him anyway. And then after like 5 laps of gaining like 6/10, I did have some slight hope, let's say, but I knew that my tires in the second part of that stint would drop away. And then the last laps, to be honest, with 5 laps to go, we were all talking. We knew what was happening. I knew that I was gaining like 1/10 a lap, and I'm not going to overtake him with a 10th a lap advantage. And we were all just waiting for the race to finish, basically. So, but that being said, my tires did drop off. So I didn't tease him to give 2-second gap. It was just I was being careful on the last lap with a slight drop off.
Okay, good stuff. Something that we touched on during the broadcast as well is that in previous races, we've seen a kind of driving style from you this season, which has been, if there's somebody ahead of you, you've not been in a rush. You've used your strategy, your stint lengths, and maximised your opportunities that way. We thought we'd see similar today, but it wasn't the case. In that first stint, you looked like you were being a lot more aggressive. You were taking trying to take opportunities of making moves. So what was different today? Was it just a case of you felt you were quicker, you could get past, or was patience just not a tactic you went with today?
To start with, I would like to go back to turn 1. At the start, I'm not sure exactly what happened between myself, Martin, and Simončić, but I did make contact with Simončić, and I think I ruined his suspension, so I'm sorry for that. I'm pretty sure it was my fault, because I was busy watching Martin, and then just rear-ended Simončić. About the way I drove differently today, I think it's just based on scenario. The other races, I was P2, and I didn't really have a threat from behind. Today, I knew that both Danny and Michi were pulling away from me. I needed to get by. And also, I knew Danny was really quick today, so I didn't want to lose like 4 or 5 seconds to him in the first stint. So I just needed to try to pass Jörne as soon as possible. I was a bit surprised, to be honest, at the last part of the race when he put primes. Part of the reason why I had the drop off at the end was because I absolutely nailed the outlap, knowing that this will be the easiest chance I have when his primes are really cold and we'll do like a high 35 and I can do a low or mid 34 immediately. So that made it easier to
Can I just ask Mo a question? Was that always your plan to use options on the final stint, or was that a card that you played when you just found yourself unable to pass Journey until the final pit stop?
Decided it after qualifying.
Okay.
If I was in Danny's position, I would have done his strategy.
Yep.
Okay, I've got one more question. What's stinky tofu?
Something I don't want to eat ever again.
Fair enough. Okay. For anyone that's wondering why I've asked that, Dave might be sat there wondering. It's part of his driver profile that we've got showing on the screen at the moment. I do have one more question regarding the race. You may have obviously heard Danny's reaction to that first contact with Michi Hoyer, but from your perspective, being in, I think it was 4th place at that time, you see that contact between the two of them. But then you see them both recover the way they do and open up the gap again. Is that disheartening? Was it frustrating? Or was there a bit of pride in there of like, well done, Danny, lad, go and get him?
To be honest, when you're racing, you don't want Danny to win. You want yourself to win. So,
but afterwards, it's all love and friendship.
Yeah, I'm happy for Danny to win because he's struggled this season. For one reason or another, we kind of expected it to rain a bit, and that would have been fun for Danny because we know how he is in the wet a bit. So, but no, fair play to him. And to be fair, Michi did pretty well in the first stint as well. But yeah, when the contact happened, I was happy to some extent. Like I saw the gap go down, and then I thought, okay, I have a chance. I knew I was going longer than Danny, but then it gave me slight hope. But to be honest, Danny's pace in the primes was amazing. It was just amazing. I couldn't do it with his fuel, and that was what won him the race, really.
Yeah, definitely was. It doesn't look like we've been able to get Jörne Simončić in to have a little bit of a chat with him. It would have been interesting to see what his comments were about that race. I'm just wondering, Dave, have you got any other questions you want to ask Mohamed Patel or Daniel Kish?
No, I haven't got any for Mohamed, but we do have Michi Hoyer in the room with us, so we can ask Michi about his race. So I was going to do that if that's okay. Mishi, congratulations on a stunning qualifying. That was just a massive lap. I think you had 0.285 of a second on Daniel in P2, and the first stint just went so well. You had clear air, you managed the gap, the two of you were pulling away, and it looked like you had your strategy bang on as well, because unlike Magny Cours, you didn't pit before the guys you were battling with. But this it all got a bit hairy after that first pit stop. Have you had a chance to have a look at the footage yet as to what happened?
Hey, yeah, thanks first of all, and just wanted to say towards the qualifying thing, I think it's the moment of year when you put in a perfect lap, and that doesn't really happen very often, so I'm happy about it. Towards that incident, yeah, I had a quick look already towards the incident number 2. It's difficult actually, because I had Fran Lopez on the right and I knew Daniel would be somewhere to my rear left. As I looked in the mirrors the last time, I saw Daniel's car clearly behind mine. And on the front right I had Fran Lopez, so I basically turned in to not touch Fran, and then yeah, Kiss was a little bit closer than what I expected, I think, and we made contact. I'm not going to blame anyone, definitely not, because it's in that heat of the situation, a lot of things can happen. And I think if we can have a little discussion about it, I will be fine in the end, or whatever. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell if there's anyone really to blame. Definitely part of the fault is, I think, mine, because I could have given Daniel a little bit more gap on the inside without touching Fran on the outside. Yeah, however, the thing was, it left me with suspension damage and front wing end plate damage, compromising my lap times by, I think, half a second after I had a quick look. So that gave me no chance in the end to attack Michele D'Alessandro, because I was quite fast in the second sector. But in the point of time where I did need the downforce in the fast corners in sector 3, I just, yeah, couldn't be close enough to have an attack.
Well, Mishi, I just want to say to you, that's very, very adult and measured of you to have such a balanced perspective on that contact, because, it did hurt your race, but I'm very impressed that you're able to look at it and say, hey, I'll put my hand up and take at least some of the responsibility. So I'm sure that takes a lot of stress away from Daniel, who I know feels pretty bad about it. So I'm sure you guys will be able to sort it out. But it means there's a win in the pipeline, I think, Mishi, for you. I think that's what we can say. We looked at this race and said, look, someone else is going to probably have a good day today. And it wasn't Mohammed today, it was Daniel. But I think, with the pace you showed today and the strategy you showed today, it's not going to be far away. So well driven. Shame about the contact, but some fabulous driving and some fabulous racing.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I have to basically say hats off to Daniel, because the first thing he said, I think, was some sort of excuse towards me. And I think that is the kind of respect that should be shown between any drivers. So the kind of respect I'm showing by maybe admitting it was partly my fault as well.
Just want to point out there as well, Mitchie said excuse. I think he means like apology, not an excuse. Like, it weren't my fault. It was more of a Danny gave the apologies to clear that up in case anyone picks on that. But I mean, it's massive respect from both of you regarding that. I mean, I didn't get a chance to really have much of an in-depth look at it at the time, but I mean, you guys are having such a fantastic race, and I can only hope that you can continue it on into the next race as well. And in a moment, we'll pop up the information on the screen about the next race. But just want to say thank you very much, guys, and once again, congratulate Daniel Kish on everyone taking victory here in Sepang, Malaysia. Mohamed Patel for taking the second place, Yuni Simičić for taking third, and also thank you, Michoya, for coming and joining us for a chat. Honestly, that qualifying pole lap was phenomenal, and I think quite a few people would enjoy having another look at that at some point as well. But very well done, guys. Congratulations to you all. As I mentioned about next event, coming up next, we've got the summer break, which would have been a bit longer than it is. However, we have had to race this weekend, so you can join us again on the weekend of the 20th of August. I think I just checked the calendar as well. I think the 20th is for the World Championship race, so it might be the 19th and 20th of August. We shall be at Spa in Belgium for that world famous circuit, and we can see how we're going to get on heading through Eau Rouge around that track.
It's the week before the real one.
Good stuff, good stuff. We can show the real guys how to do it properly, and maybe how not to do it so properly as well. We'll have to wait to see. All I hope for is a great race and no rain, and to be fair, the rain stayed away today, which is, I think, added to the race in general. Anyway, just want to quickly say thank you very much to all of the drivers, to all of the viewers. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and also if you do want to try out the mod that's used in Formula Sim Racing, check out the links in the description. Or if you want to get involved in Formula Sim Racing, once again, check out the links in the description and come and get involved in the forums, and all the information that will be there for you. Finally, just want to say thank you very much to my co-commentator, David O'Reilly. Always fills us with plenty of fun facts and information. And also, finally, thank you to our cameraman, Peter Schulze. Done a great job once again today. That's pretty much all from us, folks. This has been Formula Sim Racing's World Championship, sponsored by Thrustmaster. Come and join us again soon.
Have a great summer.